Hey, man.
I love that music, man. It's like dun 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 dun, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. It's a shock that I'm not like coming on screen just pumping my pud to that music. It's like dun 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 dun, yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
right.
gosh. Well,
So-
thank you, man. That's an original.
That's you. That's your music.
That's something I did probably 12, 13, 14 years ago.
Well, that masturbation move was something I did about 2 hours ago. So,
Oh my goodness. Hey everybody, this is Johnny Beane and Neanderthal and
hey,
John Mancuda
hey, everyone out there.
talking guitars in the 80s metal live, June 23rd, 2020, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Here's the thing. I've been on a call for about a half hour for you guys, just so you know. And my dogs have been very nice. The minute we go on the show, what happens? You hear her singing already?
Yeah.
Well, the minute we went on the show, I was playing Elmer Pudd. So, Rabbit, oh, what my wad? I want to blow my wad.
Spear and magic helmet.
Oh my God.
All right, Fudd. Is that your Pud? You stud.
Almighty hunter with a tiny cock.
Oh, did you know I'm hung like a raisin?
Yes, I know it. You can't help it.
I know this is someone's grandmother's first show. Well, I could use a little escape from all the terrible news out there. I will turn on this nice show. It's a comedy, I've heard. Good heavens!
Look at the man in the scarf in Southern California and the fat woman. What's going on?
Johnny's like the taxi driver that drove us here.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, Bruce over on Facebook. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. And before we start here on YouTube, you can become a channel member, video sponsor, like Charles Green, Joe Christian, Music Therapy Laz, David Ennis, Thomas Santiago, Mike Neese, Connor Johnson, 5150, Michael Smith, Some Dave Dude, and Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael?
Yes. Yeah, so welcome.
Those are the big bosses. I see Paul's wearing a fan shirt of my penis. It's Mr. Softy. Yes, exactly.
Mr. Softy, the guy that is, because there's a Mr. Softy in every city, right? It's like a franchise. All right,
well, it's a truck. It's a truck.
It's an ice cream truck. What the hell is going on here? What am I, a fucking Vulcan? What the hell is that? The thing's out of control. It's like I'm running up to fill in this spot right up here. I gotta go up there and I think there's an opening right here. Part of the neighborhood is. If I run to the north, I can make this here. But Mr. Softy, the local Phoenix Mr. Softy, is a listener to our radio program Monday through Friday, weekday mornings on KSLX, the Valley's classic rock station. So the Mr. Softy here in town is a listener and will occasionally at like 9 o'clock in the morning bring his truck into the radio station parking lot because it's definitely 500 feet away from the nearest school. And we're able to go out and grab like ice cream. He'll come by and make an ice cream run because he listens to our radio program, and he gave us the Mr. Softy t-shirts. And who doesn't love Mr. Softy?
Everyone loves Mr. Softy. And you know what? We have that in common. I also have to stay 500 yards from every school.
Exactly.
And ordered that as well. So, so Lee, listen, thank everyone for joining us. We're happy you're all out there. Let's do a little roll call. Let's see who's with us right now. First, let me give a quick birthday shout out to Julie. Julie is watching today on her birthday. So big happy birthday to you, love. Happy birthday shout out. And let's see. I think my parole officer is also watching. I think excellent. So thank you, Mr. Simmons. Live long and prosper. I promise I'll show up next week.
You're very welcome, young man. Imagine was your parole officer.
He does anything for a nominal fee. It's
for a nominal fee. Yes, I'm working for the state now because we've been off the road and it's been very difficult for me to make ends meet.
Everyone's off the. Well, we're going to talk about that actually, but let's start off. Papa Blue, Hal Face, Hugh Caldwell, Hardwood Steaks, Joe Hervey 84, Chris Bevins. I'm almost blocking someone as I scroll up my. I hate that. I hate when I do that. I'm on a touch screen. I almost like Chris Bevan. I'm like shouting him out, and all of a sudden it's like blocked. What did I do?
You laugh. My ex-girlfriend got pissed at me because, like, I don't have my iPad here in front of me, but when you have your iPad, right? I scroll. I'm left-handed, so I scroll with my left thumb. Well, if you've ever looked at an iPad, if you got Facebook on an iPad, when you're scrolling with your left thumb, you sometimes inadvertently like or unlike or delete or block shit because that's your thumb hits that part of the screen. I have inadvertently liked posts from people I have no idea who they are. And one of them happened to be a woman I've never met because, my Facebook is part of my radio show. I liked some woman's profile picture by accident. I've never met the woman. I have no idea, but I guess the picture, she's showing huge cleavage. And I get this text, hey, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? What did I do? I have no idea what I did. And then she goes, blah, blah, blah. And she told me the woman. So I went back and I looked at the profile pic and I went, oh, that was inadvertent. But I'm going to be honest with you. Even if I had recognized that, I probably would have liked it anyway.
Who doesn't like cleavage? I mean, geez, that's what I want for my birthday when I turn 29 again. Let's see. Ken Codor, Vistalite 1972, Sandra Percorni. 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 Love that name.
Gosh.
All of a sudden, we became the two little girls in Rodin.
No, we're we're like baby metal.
Yeah, that is not at all racist or lacist, if you will.
Oh, we're like baby metal. By the way, thank you, Sandra. You've been real supportive this week. You're like my bra, basically. You're so supportive. Thank you. Let's see. Joe Hervey 84, my Jew homie. How are you, brother? Let's see.
Did you just say my Jew homie? How are you?
Yeah. Joe Hervey. No, I gave him. I threw up Homer. No, I threw up devil horns.
That was ironic, is what that was.
No, geez, I said rock on, not Z Gal. Let's see. Jeez. No. Joe always he's a fellow Jew from Long Island, so I like to acknowledge that. Same as Nesdal, I like to acknowledge the our tribe, chosen people. We stick together.
I know.
Yeah, we're old school. Let's see. Brian Spalding, Robot Master Switch. How are you, brother? Crazy Cook 678. John BL 5150. How are you, brother? Dwight Bailey. Here's where it gets confusing when you see the same names and you don't want to miss anyone. Headstock Haram, Chris Bavin. I almost blocked you. Damn it. Cobra Kai Platoon. And I almost Jesus, this is terrible.
Tech Tard Tuesday continues.
Yeah. Tech More on Tuesday. I live this shit.
What you do is you ask everybody where they're watching from, and then it starts moving, and that's when you get everybody.
And then they're all like, where we're fucking from already. You ask us every week where we're from. What are you, retarded, Mancuda? Come on. Well, yeah, I kind of am. Let's see. Charlie S., Mr. Hellstorm 74, Hugh Caldwell, Hardwood Steaks, Deja Voodoo, 5150 Fly Guy, for a white guy. Metal Soda, Han 36 Sola, Thomas Santiago, Caleb Rappaport. How are you, brother?
Hey, Caleb. David Scher.
David Scher. Let's see who else we got.
Mike Turner.
Hi, buddy.
Matt Stewart, Headstock Haram, Steffi,
John Windsor,
Lenny Lou and Mary, Amanda Coombs, Ben Coombs. They're coming in like a flood. Mickey Newman. David Alexander, did you say that already?
Danny Alexander.
I'm doing it again. Johnny Bean's in the house. Nightbot's in the house. Neanderthal Radio.
If we do this right,
the great Jay Hannon.
He can make it last for 3 hours, and we're done.
Yeah, no, this is I
Just
really
read names.
Believe me, I can get this done at some point today.
Crazy Cook 678. Hey man. Hey, I still have to add you as a friend over on the Discord, man. I saw your request.
Bozique. Hey, brother. Let's see. Jesus rapes me. I always want to read that, right? That's one of my favorite screen names you guys come on with. David Alexander. Hello from Texas. How are you, man? Janice Lala. Hey, Janice. Mark Dillon. How many times did I say Hugh Caldwell today? And everyone else. Hey.
And the rest.
Thank you all for watching, taking a break from the madness that's out there to come share a couple laughs and some metal talk and see guitars and just, realize your life is so much better than ours and ours and ours, except Blue Rhino. He's got it made. He really does. Yeah. So welcome, everybody. So, Johnny, you got a new phone you were about to say?
Yeah, well, I did.
Because your other one was about to explode.
I did. And this is like a major upgrade.
What is it?
From the other one. It's an 11 something.
iPhone 11?
Nailed it.
The iPhone, it's the big one, whatever the big one is.
I really, Apple, if you're listening, this could be your sponsorship plug. So listen,
it's an 11 something.
Yeah, join the beautiful ranks of Swiss Picks and Bang Energy Drink. This could be your moment to sell more of those 11 things.
Yeah.
11 something could be Ron Jeremy's production company.
We're actually going to talk about Ron Jeremy in the news today, and I don't mean my microphone.
I'm with you on that because I heard the same story you did, and as somebody that has frequented, spent a lot of time. I've spent some time with Ron. Ron's
as have I.
Yeah,
Ron lives up the road from me.
Yeah, how much time?
I don't know how long was Sika's adventures for?
What time of day?
How long was Thick Braunschweiger's 7? How long was that?
That's the weirdest thing in the world. I mean, Mancuda obviously lives in the same neighborhood because it's the Jewish section of Los Angeles, which means Los
everywhere.
Angeles.
Yeah, everywhere. It's the showbiz capital of Judaism. So,
and well, thankfully they don't run the entertainment industry.
Thank God. Oh yeah.
No, I kid because my agent is but you live near the guy, and I work in radio where Ron Jeremy has been a radio whore for almost as long as he's been in porn. You cross paths with that guy, thankfully from a distance, on a regular basis, and we'll get to the news a little bit later on. But he's all of a sudden become a news story. A news story, like a mainstream news story.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming, and I mean coming.
That's what she said.
Yeah, everyone sees Ron coming, no matter where you look. It's like, let's see, Mike Turner says, crank up Popcorn the band. Thank you, man. Yeah, I gotta, we're all a little on edge in quarantine. I got a photo from JoJo recently, and JoJo. For those that don't know, Popcorn the band. Our band with Blue Rhino and JoJo the Chimp. So JoJo sent me a photo. I'm gonna send it to Johnny, and we'll put it up on the screen in a little bit. But
yeah, we've been trying to work on one of those, like those sessions that everybody does, where kind of like what we're doing here, where we can record new music remotely.
Quarantine session.
Yeah, we've been trying to do a quarantine session, but clearly Blue Rhino unable to participate. No opposable thumb. and JoJo is what he does is he turns on the camera and everything like that, and then just throws shit at it. So we've had some issues.
JoJo's playing a lot of games with money and all sorts of things. This is what happens when chimps get a hold of cocaine. So, yeah. So Johnny, I just sent that to you. You can see he's got an attitude. Johnny, just put that on the air if you can. Because it's not fair. It's not fair. You should do things for the fans. You should always do things for the fans. And a nominal fee. Ooh, nominal fee. Yeah. So, but JoJo's got an attitude of a drug addict. And again, I'm not bad mouthing him. He's a member of our band, but you know, this is what happens. You know, you got it. There he is. Look at him.
Yeah, look at him.
He's smug. He's you know, he's arrogant.
Like he's bigger than the rest of us.
Yeah, and again, you know, he gets his fans and whatnot, but you know, look at that arrogant attitude. Come on, Jojo, if you're watching, just get off your high horse and you know, come on, man. What Blue Rhino has no attitude and he gets all the girls, so you know.
Yeah, it's sort of weird.
Here, I'll show you the difference. Here's my old phone.
Oh my God!
Right here.
I think Johnny, I think a can and a wire would be an upgrade from that. 2 cans and a wire.
It's about to explode.
It looks like the Little Rascals built that thing. What the hell?
All right.
Yep, my first cell phone.
And then that's the new one. That's the new one. So it's a major difference. I mean, the difference is
Johnny. You could take a brick and that still would be a better upgrade, and it'll work better.
Oh well, I guess since I'm not using it anymore, I can show you exactly why there's duct tape. Everybody's been asking me why. It's because the screen is lifting.
Wow.
So the
screen is lifting because the battery is swelling. It's going to explode.
Well,
yeah, Johnny, don't take that on a plane or you're going down. Holy shit.
I'm not laughing. But I just like everybody to know it's turned off. It's deactivated. Nothing's on there. So
throw it the fuck away.
Yeah, Johnny, it's turned off. My cock went soft when I saw that phone. I'm turned off too. Speaking of turned on, Jay Hannon in the house. How are you, brother?
Hey, Jay.
Jay walks into these moments. He's like, what the fuck? Why do I ever turn on this show?
Here's the thing. He's on stoner time, so he gets the push notification, and then he's like, oh, yeah, the show's on. And he's like 20 minutes into it, and he shows up. It's like, cock.
That's the first word he turns on. He sees a chimp, Johnny holding a phone that's about to blow up, and me talking about cock. And he says, I'm going to go get a sandwich. He comes back. Ron Jeremy jizzing all over the place. What the hell?
It's almost like we plan it that way.
Yeah.
Like, let's make sure in the future that 20 minutes into the show, there's just some random cock reference so that Jay can be welcomed. It's like when Norm walked into the bar and cheers. He'd go, Norm, when Jay walks in, it's a cock.
You're welcome by a 21 shaft salute. Everyone's spurting across the bar. Nice.
Can I give you a shot?
Oh. Shots for everyone. Ah. Nice. Yeah, so we hope everyone out there is in a good mood today. If not, we're glad you came here to come and get in a good mood. The world's fucked.
I quote Lemmy Kilmister: "Is everyone having a good time? Well, we'll soon fucking fix that."
Nice. I should shit on the floor like G.G. Allen. You want to know who gives a shit? I do.
Yuck. I just love the random Johnny. He's like the special effect in Batman when there's a fight. And somebody
ow!
It says ow. It says ow in big letters. Johnny, yuck.
That was the moment Johnny found was gross. We've made like 800 jokes already of sperm, and Johnny says, "That's the one. That's what." Ew.
Well, it's the Johnny Ew meter. It's how does it get to?
There we go.
Yeah. It's like, that flashing audience applause sign that's over the live audience. It should be like, yuck, yuck.
Here we go. There it is.
There we go.
It's like the crawl on CNN. Johnny Beane reported today from Northern California. Yuck.
Like right around the building in Times Square on the news feed, it's like yuck, yuck. Mancuda and Paul, jizz jokes, yuck, yuck. Kiss charging nominal fee, stocks rising.
Yuck.
How many out there like jizz jokes?
Wow.
Ron Jeremy! Sorry.
Now Gene's running out of competition if Ron's knocked out of this.
Yeah.
Gene's going to be king of the Dong Hill. Although there's Tommy Lee.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what other scandals arrive this week. It's been quite a week. I was on the phone. I was on the phone with my father's doctor today, and this is like the 17th doctor. This one says there's a possibility to maybe save his leg. So I'm like, let's go for it. You're the guy. Of course,
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. There's a chance. There's a chance. As if you would have asked me this morning, he was scheduled tomorrow to have an amputation surgery. And
Oh, no kidding.
2 weeks ago, they were talking about it at another hospital that we transferred him from. So as of this morning, I'm talking to my mother and I'm talking to a different doctor, and they're like, yeah, we have him scheduled for an amputation tomorrow. It doesn't look good. And then I worked my ass off all day today on the phone with doctor after doctor after doctor. And I'm basically saying, look, I want to grasp at every fucking straw possible to not put my father through that. So I finally got a hold of like a regular doctor of his that was willing to go down there and examine him and do an extra MRI. And he's like, I'm willing to take the chance if you're willing to take the chance. I said, rock on, man. Let's do it. We could always do it later if you have to, make an emergency amputation to save his life. But, other than that, let's ride the pony, baby.
Do you suppose somewhere in some hospital somewhere there's a doctor? He's like,
no? He's sitting there drawing dotted lines on my dad. Nothing to worry about, Mr. Mancuda. Nothing to worry about. What are you doing?
Oh no.
Yeah, right now they're in the nurse's office spinning the big wheel of operations. Looks like appendectomy. Ooh, leg amputation. We're going for Mancuda today. Ooh.
Give me the camera, dog.
You almost took the dog's eye out. The dog's gonna run off with that ballet song.
I mean, can you see the doctor's got it in his pocket?
I know.
Ready to go.
Here we go, Mancuda. Here we go. It's been a boring week, but you're gonna fix that. What? Hold off on Mancuda?
If you're lucky, you can get the same guy that did his bris.
Yeah, right. Although that guy amputated too much. That guy amputated too much too. He thought he was taking off his leg.
I think I wish I could be a doctor so I could just call my office Dr. Moyle.
I almost became a Moyle. I thought about it.
Did you really?
I said, no. What are you crazy?
I mean, you touch your own. You just figured out play with my own dick instead.
I'm doing shtick. Yeah, no. And thank you.
I don't know. I don't know what your career aspirations were, and you ended up in LA. Nobody wants to be in LA.
No one wants to be a Moyle. Who really goes to school? And you're in high school. Teacher says,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuda, do you know? Do you know what happened in 1871? No, I really don't. I really don't, sir. No, ma'am, I don't know the answer to 4. No, I don't know what happened in 1871. I'm sorry, ma'am. No, I don't want to fail. But you know what? If I do, I'm going to be a Moyle anyway. This social studies is not the geography I need to know. I need to know the great river of the vein that flows up the penis so I don't cut that part off. That's all I need to know. In fact, I'm doing double biology this week. Goodbye.
Hello, Mr. Mancuda. I'm Father O'Malley, your career counselor. Have you ever thought about, if you're thinking about touching young boys' penises, have you ever considered the Catholic Church?
That seems like a rewarding career. By the way, this NAMBLA joke brought to you by Bang Energy Drink. Bang Energy Drink. Thank you, Bang, for supporting the show.
Don't worry if you're not good at it. We'll just move you to another parish.
Well, the way I figure it, it'll give me a lot of opportunity to get it right.
John, this is God. Stop touching your penis. It should be, John, this is God. Stop touching other people's penises.
I have nightmares like that. I wake up in a cold sweat, and then what do? I get a drink. I make myself a meatloaf sandwich. I touch my penis.
I'd be willing to touch your penis for a nominal fee.
We'll do anything for a nominal fee and the fans.
I got to wonder if Vinnie Vincent has visited his moil recently.
Wouldn't that be funny if like all these kids are uncircumcised because Vinny the Moil just didn't show up?
Vinny's like, I can't even cut my own off. Why would I touch yours? I mean,
that reminds me, this is Pride Month, so all our LGBTQ members, this rainbow guitar behind me is tribute to Pride Month because I am a Pride ally. So shout out to all you rocking LGBTQ members.
I think that I think it's been very, very undersold this time around. I mean, if there's ever been more of a month where we should celebrate the work of Charlie Pride, it's this month. I mean,
Charles,
black and gay. He was a pioneer on two fronts.
He had it all. He was an overachiever.
Yep. So Pride Month, an entire month to celebrate the music of Charlie Pride.
All right. So let's dive into music news. Let's should we start with Ron Jeremy since we're already on the topic?
Well, here's the thing. Ron Jeremy isn't exactly music news, but he is certainly he's well known amongst the music community that he is the most rock and roll porn star ever. Everybody knows him. He's been in, I don't know, how many different bands. Yeah, yeah.
He's a friend of rock stars. He's a friend of the show. And Sandra Pokorny brings up a good point. If you're all watching right now, take a second, hit the like button, just for fun. It doesn't cost you anything, which is why
I would call Ron Jeremy a friend, except for he's a radio friend, so he's not really a friend. When we see each other, we say hi, but we don't hang out or anything like that. But for those that don't know, he's been accused of some stuff that's been going on for years.
He basically had 5 women accuse him basically of various states of rape. And again, let me emphasize, we take the thought of that very seriously. So let's make a note of what we're making jokes of and what we're not. It's serious accusations for real. Here's the thing though, the thing with Ron, and again, I'm speaking as someone who's hung out with him at the Rainbow, at a party, at Comic-Con. You know, he is that person that women walk up to and literally say, hey, grab my boobs, sign my boobs. Let me take a photo with my hand down your pants. Let me see your schmeckle. You know, he gets that casually and he lives that life. There's no secret. If you're hanging with Ron and there's a woman walking up, it's casual conversation for Ron to say, so do you want to fuck later or something? You know, I mean, that's just him. Now, with that said, if it is true that he forced himself on someone or manipulated someone, that's a whole different story.
Now, I'm not going to defend
rape?
Sexual assault. Yeah, I'm going to take I'm going to take a bold stance here and just say this for the record. Rape is wrong.
Definitely.
Always.
We all agree with that. Date
rape is still rape.
Yes.
And I think that's probably more what has happened here. And I certainly am not, that doesn't make it any more acceptable in any way, shape, or form. But I don't think, given Ron Jeremy and the way he has lived his life for the past 50 years, he literally can recognize that when some girl says, I want to see your dick, that doesn't mean put it in me. I don't think that he knows where that line is. And that's not to excuse it. It's to explain it. If it happened, it's wrong. And he should absolutely serve whatever time they prescribe to him if he's convicted of this sort of deal. I don't think that he knows right from wrong in that situation, given what he's been doing for the past 50 years. I think it's times have changed. In the 70s and 80s, if a chick ran into Ron Jeremy at the Rainbow and said, show me your dick, he'd be like, let's go upstairs to the payphone and let me bend you over. And she would. Now, if a woman says, show me your dick, he assumes that means let's go upstairs to the payphone and I'll bend you over. That doesn't make it right. I just don't know that he understands that what he could get away with years ago, he can't get away with now. He just can't. The world has changed. It's a different world, and he's a product of a bygone era. If this happened and I would like to think he's better than that, but you've been with Ron, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
He's a happy-go-lucky guy who thinks that any invitation is yes. And I don't know that, we all know that no always means no, even if you're in the process and she says, all right, I'm done. I've had second thoughts. We need to stop.
That means stop. That means
stop. It means stop and walk away. So, in Ron's mind, do you think he thinks he raped anybody? In his mind, I don't think he does. No. But in your mind is not law, and it's not in her mind. And if at any point he was involved in any sort of extracurricular activities, and it's interesting because the media has said it happened in a West Hollywood bar. We all know where it was.
You know which bar they're talking about.
We know what bar they're talking about because he's a fixture there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
he's there just as much as the Lemmy statue that is there.
Right.
So
exactly.
We know what bar it is. Yeah.
It's his second home. Did it happen? Most likely it happened. Does Ron think it was rape? Most likely not. Does that make any difference? No. So if he did do it and she didn't agree to it, Ron Jeremy's an asshole. I mean, but I don't think in his mind, I'm not making him innocent. He's not innocent. I just don't think he fully comprehends. If you're told your whole life that this is okay and you've been allowed to do things like this for decades, and then suddenly tomorrow it changes and nobody told you and you still do it, you're still wrong. Your ignorance is ignorance
of the law. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Yeah. And again, we're not saying Ron did it or didn't do it. Out of those 5 women, one has been disproven. So they're down to 4 now. On those 4, he's facing 3 charges of forcible rape, 3 charges of forcible penetration by a foreign object, 1 count of forcible oral, and 1 count of sexual battery. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here. And there's a lot, when you say, 3 counts of forced penetration by a foreign object, you're talking anything from a dildo to a loaf of bread. I don't know. And it's Ron, so you really don't know, But there's elements that could be in there like alcohol or, unknown factors that we just don't know right now. But, look, it's our job to report it and let you guys know what's going on, especially considering I named my microphone Ron Jeremy. So, Now
he's my experiences with Ron have always been that he's sort of a oblivious imp. He's just sort of walking. He's not stupid, but he's always been at sort of a point in his life where he's just happy-go-lucky with no foresight to what he's doing, like the ramifications of his behavior, because he's been a jester for so long. And in a social environment with whatever chemicals and or alcohol or whatever was involved and whatever. Look, it doesn't matter why. None of it excuses it. If it happened, and we're not saying it did or it didn't, I have no doubt that Ron Jeremy was involved in extracurricular activities with all of these women. I have no doubt of that. I have no doubt that happened. Whether or not it crossed the line to forcible or unwanted or anything, if at any point it got crossed that line, then
or under influence,
right? Whatever it was, or he drugged somebody, and I'm not saying he did. If there was any sort of coercion or something like that happened, or it went too far at that point, then he has to be held responsible for his behavior, which is something that would be sort of a new thing for Ron Jeremy because he hasn't been really responsible for his behavior in social environments. He's not stupid. He's a good businessman. He's incredibly good with his money. He's a nice guy. He's smart.
Hell of a nice guy.
Yeah, he really is a nice guy. And I think that's what bothers both me and John, and I'm not going to speak for John, but it bothers me.
No, you're right. You're right.
Because every time I've run into him, he is also very respectful. That's the other thing, is he's lurid in certain ways. He's made statements in front of complete strange women, and he can read the room. He knows that if she's into it, he can go further. And if she's not into it, he smiles and says, well, thank you. It's very nice to meet you. Like, he knows when
that's very accurate.
Yes. He knows when he's met somebody that is not playing. So that makes this all that much more confusing to everybody that knows Ron Jeremy. And I'm sure people are going to come out on both sides of this thing and say, well, given what he does for a living, he's a complete scumbag. That's not true. Ron Jeremy is not a complete scumbag.
Totally not.
If he did this, these were scumbag moves. If this happened, it was a scumbag move, and it's very disappointing.
And again, there are those areas, and just to touch, Joey Van Ostrand, we are not saying Ron did it. We are not condemning him. We are basically saying we are totally open-minded because both Paul and I have hung with Ron, and we're giving benefit of the doubt on both sides. To be fair, the women have to be listened to, and any allegation like that absolutely has to be taken seriously and investigated. And on the other side, look, we know Ron to be one way. We don't know him to be forceful of himself on women.
No.
But then there is that area that could be meeting in the middle that unfortunately falls into the law. Let's say two people or one person had a lot to drink one night. You're not able to consent when you're drunk. Right. And that could be what we're talking here. Because look, this isn't like Ron walked up and grabbed someone in a parking lot and happened to have a dildo and it doesn't happen that way. This is probably, and again, we're speculating, this is probably a situation where, they're at the bar, they're drinking, they're hanging out, someone makes out, someone asks to see his schmeckle or whatever. Either way, we're keeping a totally open mind of the justification that the women have to be heard out and looked into, and Ron's innocence until proven guilty. We just want to report what's going on.
And all I can say is my personal experience with Ron, I can understand that the events probably took place. I can understand that it could have gone further. Ron is not beyond pushing the envelope, so to speak. And I can understand that if at any point it got past the point of permission or comfort for anybody involved in these extracurricular activities and he didn't stop, then yeah, he did something wrong. I don't know Ron has ever made that judgment before, but culture has changed.
Yeah,
the culture in America and the societally accepted norms for casual sex and or interaction, whether it be public, private, or whatever, all of those things have changed in the past 10 years. And sometimes change leaves people behind. And if that change affects Ron in this one, because this happened years ago. This isn't like something that happened Monday. Like
2004?
Yeah, this has happened this happened years ago, just over a period of years.
A couple.
So think about how many different.
Yeah,
think about how many different
2017, 2004, right. I think a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is, for all of the times that Ron has been involved in social interactions, he is going to come across, no pun intended, some people that walked away from that experience perhaps with a different concept of what took place. I don't know that justifies it. It doesn't. And I'm certainly not trying to condemn Ron. He is absolutely innocent until proven guilty. However, his history and his behavior and the world that Ron Jeremy has lived in for the past 50 years is somewhat conducive to him not knowing the difference between right and wrong, which again is not an excuse. You know,
and like I said,
it's a sad story. It's like when we found out that that Nick Katniss from Black Label Society was a scumbag. We're all very disappointed because the guy that we knew, Nick Katniss, wasn't that guy. And then we found out after the fact, oh my God, what a jerk. You know what I mean? I would like to think that the Ron Jeremy that I've spent time with wouldn't be this guy. I would like to hope that this didn't happen. But if it did, then all bets are off.
Yeah, and I feel exactly the same way. And Joey, like I said, we are not slamming the door on Ron. The guy is a friend of ours. So we are not saying he did it. We are just reporting that if this happened, this, and if this happened, this. Okay, so we're totally open-minded with the hope that it didn't happen for both the women and Ron.
I don't want no woman should have to go through any of that.
Yeah, so just
no woman should have to go through that ever.
Again, don't misconstrue what we're saying as we're coming down on Ron. Pardon the pun. Hey, Original Paramutant. Hey, Keith Pass.
So there's
Eduardo Marino Porto. Let's see, Fruitcake Tony. Yeah, Show and Tell Guitar. today's show and tell guitar, I will tell you, it is something you could poke your eye out with.
Pointy guitar.
It's got some points on it. And yeah, Ben Tom, just for record, as a casual joke, Ron does call his junk his schmeckel. And yeah, so it's like a fucking Braunschweiger, that thing. God bless him.
It's like hanging a Genoa salami in a meat cabinet.
Yeah, he's got all the cock that the rest of us Jews didn't get. So anyway, so there you go.
You would think he would have to. I mean, look at him.
Hey, listen.
There's only one way that guy's going to get laid, and that was it.
He's not called the hedgehog for nothing. So Metal Soda. Metal Soda. I won't say if it's a Warlock or not. I just say it's got points that'll take your eye right out. And no, it's not a celebrity guitar. I will give one more clue though. It was a guitar back in the day that was at NAMM. Yeah, never. There we go.
It's Akira Takasaki's Hurricane.
I'm not saying. Well, I'm not saying nothing. Hey, let's give a shout out, by the way, on a sad note to Vince Neil, who lost his dog California today. And when I say lost his dog, the way Vince put it in interviews, by the way, is he says his dog was brutally murdered by two of the other neighbors' dogs. And he's saying they have it on security camera. The other neighbors, meanwhile, are saying, hey, your dog wandered into our field and got killed by our cattle. It's like, Vince is like, so my little dog, my little Lhasa Apso, my beautiful little puppy dog, wandered 2 football field lengths into your yard and got killed by cattle when I have security footage showing your 2 dogs mauling my dog to death. So
where was Vinnie Vincent?
Yeah, Vinny, for all I know, may have been in a dog costume and running on all fours. You know, again, in a kink thing, that's what he does. But, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a horrible thing. Dogs are. Is that a Yorkie?
Family. They're family. A Yorkie. I'm sorry. I said Lhasa Apso, right? Yeah, it's a Yorkie. I'm sorry. Yeah. So condolences to Vince Neil.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's horrible. It's really horrible.
Do we have any good news to get to?
Yes, we do. So let's see. My dad's leg might be in contention.
Get all the bad news out of the way first.
Yeah, I got to get all the bad shit out of the way. It's like, and make no mistake, this is 2020, so this is a year. This is a year of all fucking bad news. But that's not why you came here. You came here for some good news. So let's give. Let's see. I got a lot of stories to tell today. A whole bunch of stuff. Let's give note to Queen. Queen is getting, Queen with Brian May, not the world's greatest guitar player, that Queen, but we love him. We love him. Queen is getting 13 commemorative postage stamps of the Royal Mail.
Do people still collect stamps?
Losers. I'm sorry. For all, right now, Johnny, like off screen, is putting in. Johnny right now is placing a rare inverted Jenny into an album right now off camera, and he's like, "What? No, nothing against the stamp hobby. I mean, I'm a comic book collector, so what do I know? Well, comics are real popular, of course, and stamps aren't. But anyway, I don't know if they do or not. But I think it's kind of cool when, a band gets recognition for, being a good band via a postage stamp. Because I don't think we'll see any, Motley Crue postage stamps or, Steve Vai postage stamps. Maybe
what about Kiss?
Kiss, a nominal fee.
Kiss, you probably have them. Didn't they make them?
I'm surprised that there's not like a Kiss mailbox already or something.
Oh, I'm
that
sure
would be
there
weird.
is.
It's probably Gene's mouth. It's just like a big Gene head with a big mouth that opens up.
Open it in the tongue. Open it in the bottom of the mailbox is his tongue, so it opens up.
Ben Tom says he was a stamp collector as a kid. Look, I collected stamps for about 5 seconds as a kid too. And then I realized there's porn, there's comic books, there's TV, there's women that'll shun me if I lick a stamp instead of their clit. I mean, I'm sure like back
so you still collect stamps then?
You bet I do. I've got nothing better to do and nothing related to my penis. In fact, I put postage on my penis to make it feel like it's going somewhere. Yeah, no, but no, I think that would be very cool to see a Kiss mailbox with just a big Gene mouth and postage goes up, a little bit. That'd be very funny.
We have a question, by the way, just about something that's over my shoulder. Eruption in the Canyon is a book to Mike Turner, a book about guy who spent some time, and I'm going to keep sort of his name on of it because the book is not very well received. But a gentleman who lived with Eddie Van Halen for a period of time at 5150 and sort of cashed in on
I know who that
by
is.
putting out a book. Yeah,
I didn't realize he wrote a book on it.
Oh no, you're not thinking about the comedian. Not that comedian. No,
that's who I was thinking of. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's something completely different. This is another guy who was up there that was supposed to be doing a documentary, and eventually was told that he could not release the video and was allegedly screwed out of some money. And so he wrote a book, basically a tell-all book, and I had a friend send it to me. I still haven't read it. In fact, I have 2 copies of it, and I still haven't read it. But it just sits there on the shelf because it looks good behind me and gets you to ask questions like that.
Mr. Hellstorm 74 says Queen also has new silver commemorative coins out as well. I know Kiss has coins. In fact, Gene collects them.
Yes. Take one of those Queen coins and use it for the guitar pick like Brian May used to use. He used to use a 6-pence piece.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so take one of the Queen coins and make that your guitar pick.
Yeah, and stick the stamps all over your replica of his red guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that's nice. Does Kiss have stamps, Johnny? Did you see?
I don't think they have U.S. postage stamps. No.
Let me ask the computer.
They wouldn't pay the nominal fee. Yeah. Siri, does Kiss have postage stamps? I think you asked, is there a map to Idaho? No, that's not what I asked, you stupid bitch.
Outlook not so good. No, you're not a magic 8-ball.
It's really funny. I actually got it's very hard to get Alexa or Siri to curse. I found a way to do it though. You ask Alexa, "Hey Alexa, can you find Let Me Come in Your Mouth, You Whorish Bitch?" Okay, searching for song, Let Me Come in Your Mouth, You Whorish Bitch. There you go.
And then you isolate it, yeah.
Like you
No, I remember. Look, I did have the Kiss trading cards for years. Remember the trading cards?
Tons of them, sure.
Yeah.
What's cool about the old Kiss trading cards is they switched when Peter Criss left the band. They switched in Eric Carr into later printings of the cards. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Well, there were a couple of different series of them.
2 series.
And you would take them, and on the back, they would, in the back, they would make a poster. They would make one of the famous Kiss posters.
Yeah, like a puzzle, like Wacky Packages used to do.
Yeah. Those were kind of neat.
For a nominal
fee.
Somebody claims these are Kiss stamps. I mean, I don't think so. No, I don't think they're official. I think they're just
they're stickers is what they are. There's a difference between a sticker and a stamp. A stamp could be used for postage so you could mail it and it would have some sort of a monetary value on it. That doesn't. Those are just stickers. Those are just, perforated stickers that you can put on your book or whatever.
Blackjack Guitar Nuts says Paul McCartney spends his time placing coins on railroad tracks to make picks. He says, what's up with that? Paul is notoriously cheap. That's what that's about. Paul is notoriously cheap. So there you go. Wow. So there you go. So that's Queen. I thought that was kind of neat. Let's see. Let's get into the big politically correct news today. There's actually a couple of them. We got a whole bunch of politically correct news today. So and Fruitcake Tony brings up 100 watching, 54 thumbs up. Take a second, leave a thumbs up. Make me stop saying it. Or begging for it, please. Right now, I'm ready to suck dick for a thumbs up. Just so you know. So David Lee Roth takes up Yeah, you like this. This is a great story. This is one of my favorite stories this week. David Lee Roth, or the artist formerly known as David Lee Roth, I should say. His hobby is painting, and he does a lot of painting. Some of the painting subjects are politically motivated. And this week, he basically came out with a public statement on his painting that he no longer wants to be called David Lee Roth. He wants to be known as either David L. Roth, like letter L, or just L. Roth, E-L Roth, like El Diablo, El Roth. And the reason for that is the association with the name Lee is too close to Robert E. Lee. As you know, they're, taking, a lot of offense lately at Confederate icons and Confederate statues, including Robert E. Lee, down to the point of, taking the name, the General Lee, off of the Dukes of Hazzard car. So everything with the name Lee is getting affected to some point. David felt that he wanted to change his name in the same vein that the band Lady Antebellum changed their name to Lady A, because antebellum is a Southern slave term. David Lee Roth wants to be known as David L. Roth or El Roth.
This is a complete joke, by the way, for those people that don't know. He's not serious. He's not serious.
We hope he's not.
He's just being Dave. He's just being. It's funny. I always found, for so many years, I always found it almost like it was a slap in the face that Steve Vai would never refer to him as David Lee Roth. He always called him Dave Roth. Do you remember in any interview?
That's true.
Steve Vai would be talking to me. He goes, I remember that time when I was playing with Dave Roth. Like, he was, first of all, nobody ever called him Dave outside of Dave Roth. He was always just Dave.
Yeah.
Like, it was always, you never heard Dave Roth or Dave Lee Roth, or, it was either just Dave, like Madonna or Prince, or David Lee or David Lee Roth. Like, David Lee Roth used to refer to himself as David Lee. Mr. David Lee was just hanging out the other day, and you know how David Lee is, like referring to himself in the third person. But I always thought it was somewhat disrespectful that he was Dave Roth, that Steve Vai always called him Dave Roth. I wondered if it annoyed him, the way that David Lee Roth used to call Eddie Van Halen Edward. When he would call him Edward, I always thought that was sort of him sort of passive-aggressively trying to subjugate him. You know what I mean?
And Caleb points out he's usually called Diamond Dave by a lot of people too.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know
but he was never just called Dave. You never just called him Dave.
I don't know if Dave is even serious, or, again, he's playing it like he's serious. I don't know if he is or not. So I'm leaving that one open to just letting you know about it.
No, he was just either just Dave, but he was never Dave Roth. I've never heard him called Dave Roth outside of Steve Vai.
He still doesn't want to be Dave Roth.
David Roth.
Well, on the first album, he's like Dave Roth or Dave Lee Roth. He's not David on the first record.
Hey, one break coming up, Dave. Your name don't stay the same. Oh, Dave. Yeah, you're changing your middle, Dave. Yep. And that leaves open.
Is Sammy going to change his middle name?
Well, the question is like Tommy Lee going to be, changing his name to Tommy Big Cock or Tommy Schlong, or is Jake Ely going to be known as Jake I Got Screwed by Sharon? Where does it end? Where's it end?
Well, Jake E. Lee is closer to Robert E. Lee, because we know that Jake E. Lee is not his real name.
Right.
So
but he's going to be called
that Robert E. Lee.
Is he going to be called Jake I Got Screwed? Yeah. What's he going to, how far are we going? I understand like the whole Robert E. Lee thing for the actual Confederate general, traitor to the country. I get it. With that said, this is David Lee Roth. It's a name your parents gave you, or your last name, nothing to do with anything. Let's rein it in a little bit, guys.
Well, again, that's what it makes me think that Dave is just being silly, as he is wont to do.
I hope.
Yeah, as he is wont to do.
Hey, I'm wearing Lee jeans. Better rip the label off. Oh!
No, I just think Dave is being goofy. I think that's his commentary on this whole thing of how silly the idea is. I don't believe that David Lee Roth is in any way, shape, or form trying to make a social statement. This is the same guy that, has said social statements, from a guy whose music is being played in a Burger King parking lot. Doesn't make any sense. So,
and keep in mind, he was going on tour with Kiss before this COVID happened. He was doing his Vegas residency, and he was as an opening act for Kiss. What the hell?
Yeah, Caleb mentions Alex calls Eddie Ed or Edward. I've never heard Alex call him Edward. I've always heard him call him Ed. I always say him call Ed. I think Ed, Alex calls him Ed. Dave calls him Edward. I always thought when Dave was calling him Edward, it was almost like a father talking down to a child, like when your mother uses your middle name because you really fucked up.
Edward.
Yeah, I honestly believe that's why he did it.
I don't think so, because he was Edward Van Halen in the very beginning. He became Eddie later on. Like, if you look at all his signatures on the first few records, it's always Edward.
All right.
And Sammy calls him Edward too.
Well, Edward's name is not racist, but David Lee Roth.
I will defer to you, Caleb, if you want to say and Unleashed Alex says Edward. I don't recall it, and I'm not gonna. I don't think it's worth arguing over. It's
John Biel.
You may be right. You absolutely may be right, and that's fine.
Yeah, John Biel. What do you call Eddie Van Halen?
John Biel knows.
John Biel changing his name to I don't know. I'm sure there's something wrong with that name.
I don't think anybody gives a shit what David Lee Roth calls himself.
At this point, he calls himself unemployed.
Yeah, calls himself, as long as you're talking about him, he wins.
Because I ain't got no bookings, no tickets, no money. Oh, yep. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's what I always thought, John.
Because in the stadium.
Because Edward, that's his actual name. Usually if somebody has a longer name, whoops, like John. Like, what about you? Like Jonathan?
Yeah, my birth given name is Jonathan. I've sometimes gone by Jonathan, but usually I shorten it to John, as you see there. Jon. Three letters.
What did you shorten?
The Moyle actually shortened my name. It was tattooed on me, and now it just says John. Tattoo with your tattoo.
John Mancuda has a schmeckle on his schmeckle. It says John.
It used
tiny.
It used to be a schmeckle, and now it's a speckle. Just a little speckle.
He's got a tiny cock. It's bigger than a rock, even though it looks quite tiny.
And I'm so sad and lonely because nobody wants to take a little pee-pee with me, but it's not so bad. Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm hung like a kidney stone, damn it. Oh, well. I'll listen, I'm happy with my little clit, so no one else is, but I mean, I am, so, So that's, what do you think, Tommy Lee? I mean, is it like Tommy Schlong now, or Tommy Baseball Bat Dick? I mean, what is he going to change his name to?
Tommy Gabagool.
Tommy Salami. That's what I am now. I'm now Tommy Salami. That's the most accurate. Jesus Christ, that guy. I'll never forget seeing that Pam and Tommy Lee video for the very first time. And I'm thankful that it was on a wide screen so I could get the whole picture of the thing in. It's like she's like giving him head and she's running across the room trying to get it all in. It's like, holy shit. Last time I saw something that big, I was in a gym in elementary school trying to climb a rope.
When he beeps the horn of the boat that he's driving around in that little Canyon Lake area with his dick, I thought to myself, why not just hoist it over the edge and anchor that thing?
I thought he was going to put a sail up on the fucking thing and raise it up the mast. I mean, it's like, holy shit. Are you harpooning whales with that thing? What do you... Is this a whaling freighter?
For a moment there, you just went all water. What are you doing with your huge penis?
What are you taking that big penis for?
Yes.
Take your big penis, Tommy Lee, onto the drum set and use it to hit the bass. While you're doing this, your schmeckles go on this on the bass.
What do you think? You're some kind of designated hitter with that Louisville Slugger of yours? Put that away.
Jeez. He just flopped it over his shoulder and got on the boat with Pam, and that was it.
Ring the bell.
And he's still downstairs. Church bell's ringing. He's just standing like this. I swear the guy uses like a sleeping bag as a fucking condom. It's Christ. Fucking, it's amazing that Pamela Anderson can still talk after that.
In Blazing Saddles, the people of Rockridge are like, the sheriff is hung like Tommy Lee.
What? The sheriff's penis is near.
Ah. Well, that's the sheriff when he gets here. No, dagnabbit! The sheriff is hung like Tommy Lee.
I bet he was. Let's see.
I baked you a pie.
John BL also likes to be called John, but he also goes by Jonathan. So I'm not wrong.
That's the simpleness of being Paul. It's very difficult to screw up. Although, in an effort, you might want to pick this up when I drop it, John. When Slash was signing something for me the first time we met. Thank you.
Hold on, let me get that name.
That's right. That's right there. It's right over
I
there.
got it.
Go get it. Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate that. You can just mail it back to me.
You can count on me.
He actually asked me, he goes, hey, how do you spell it? I go, it's Paul, just like Saul with a P. And he goes, I don't know, man. I don't know how you spell it. You could be like one of those weird people that spells it weird. So I appreciated the courtesy.
P-A-L-L.
Better call Paul.
So,
and his name is Saul, huh?
Yeah. Could be Saul.
Saul.
Paulathan?
Yes. Paulicia.
Smangela? Smonathan?
Mulva?
Mova?
Paula?
Yeah. Not until after the operation, but that's
Dolores! Dolores! Oh man.
That just got awkward, I think.
Yeah. All right, so let's shift a little bit. So as you guys remember, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the band Baby Metal. And for those that don't know, Baby Metal, it's a heavy metal band in Japan, and they mix it with J-pop. And the frontman is a cute little girl in a schoolgirl outfit. I mean, I say she's a little girl. She's 20 or 20 something, but and her partner and another dancer, and they do the schoolgirl routine and sing to the background of some very hard metal. So it's very trendy. It's very popular. They're on their third album. It's not just a gimmick. They fill up stadiums like metal acts cannot right now. They're very, very popular the last probably 10 years now. And, with a lot of exposure in the States, they've gotten a lot of flack that because you have the three cute girls in front, that they're not real metal. So a lot of artists have been coming to their defense. The latest one being Gary Holt of Exodus, who basically puts out a statement specifically defending them, saying they're heavy as hell. And if anyone gets another generation into liking metal, this is a great thing. So, because you have bands that are interesting, you have like Ghost, and they're, they have the shtick, they're wearing the masks and they're doing metal, with the masks and whatnot. And they're a little bit of a newer generation metal, but Baby Metal is very, very heavy. and they're doing something totally different. And he's basically saying, look, it's interesting. It's catching a lot of people's attention toward the metal genre. And obviously they're successful with it. Fruitcake Tony just brought up that they've been opening shows for Guns N' Roses pre-COVID. And, that's pretty much a big deal, to say the least. So think about that. Next time you think of baby metal, a lot of artists have come. Rob Halford, who did a song with them, or a couple of songs with them on an award show, he's defensive of them. A lot of people are coming to their defense. I myself, I like them. Again, they're unique. They're different. The guitarist is great, and RIP to the other guitarist they lost a couple of years back. But, Sue Metal and Mo Metal, the two front girls, they're hardworking. And again, there's also a lot of defense because initially they were not fans of heavy metal. They didn't know what it was until their agent said, hey, we want you fronting a metal band. And that's the shtick we want you to do. And, when they became a metal band, now they're more into the genre. Now they know more of it. And, that seems to be their thing. So a lot of bands, when you have Exodus coming to your aid saying, hey, they're heavy enough for us, that's a big pat on the back.
Plus, it's an opportunity for Exodus to get on the package because let's face it, Exodus is one of the bands that has been forgotten of that genre, and criminally so. Exodus and Armored Saint and some of those other bands that came up at around the same time, although Exodus is certainly harder than Armored Saint. Anything, Gary's right. Anything that causes some kid to walk into a guitar shop and go left toward the guitars versus going right toward the sampler or the turntable is a good thing. It's a shtick. I'm not a huge fan of it. I get why people like it. It's just not for me. But it's a thing that does fly the flag. I'm not a fan of Ghost at all, but it's a thing that flies the flag, and anything that flies the flag and keeps this thing going in an era where things are so disposable, I'm all about it. So more power to them. I'm glad that they sell out arenas. It's not for me. I'm 52 years old. It's not for me. That's not supposed to be for me. If I went to a baby metal show, I would look like the creepy old guy in the crowd. It's not supposed to be for me. But you can recognize it and appreciate it and still not consume it. I think it's a great thing. I think it's great for kids now to have something that they can dig on. The fact that it's girls is also a great thing because metal has been predominantly a male-dominated genre of music. And anytime you can have some of the biggest names in that format be female, I think is good for everybody because females, whether we want to admit it or not, are the people who control the purse strings. They're the people who control the world. We're the only species on the planet that doesn't acknowledge that the females are the dominant species, but we do it for all of them. Everything is about chasing women and acknowledging women, and especially in metal. And the fact that women take a position of power instead of being just the bimbos and the back dancers, I think is a great thing.
Yeah. And again, let's see, just to touch a couple of people in the audience, which is what Gene Simmons does every show.
For a nominal fee.
Yeah, for a nominal fee. Ghost is they're more a hard rock band or hard pop. They're not per se metal. You could say they're new metal, depending how you like to define them. And yeah, someone else brought up the guitarist and the band that basically is the Kami band, which is Baby Metal's band. They are studio session musicians. Some of them have done solo stuff or stuff with other bands. They've just found, look, here's a big opportunity to join something really big. And these girls are cute. And again, they started as teens. Now they're in their 20s and they get a lot of male adults like coming to flock because they're just good looking girls. And there used to be 3 of them. There's now 2 of them as the main singers there. There's Sue Metal, who's the main singer, and Mo Metal, who's the main dancer and screamer, as they call her. And then they replaced the 3rd girl with a set of dancers called the Avengers. So they rotate 3 girls in that 3rd slot on the stage to keep up that synchronicity. So, but if you listen to them, they're different, they're unique. If you want to try a song, I recommend Give Me Chocolate. That's very, very popular right now. And that's off their second album. They're on their third album. But again, a lot of bands are coming to their defense, and a lot of adults are going to their shows just because, again, you know, they're cute girls, you know. Blackjack Guitar Nut says just keep them away from Ron Jeremy. Oh, come on.
Too soon.
Yeah, too soon. Give it 10 minutes. Brian Spalding says Nilly Broche rocks on guitar. Yes, and that's Ethan Broche's sister, by the way. Ethan being a friend of the show. And
one of my good friends is the guitar player in Vixen now. Brittany
Nice.
Denaro, who is who I've known since she was a young kid back in Boston in a band called Jaded. And to see a girl that is that good, that talented, get that kind of attention, you know, Orianthe and all these other, you know, girls that are doing well. I think that's great. I think it's great for metal. I think it's good to have some of the best guitar players on the planet are females now.
Yeah, look
That's
at the Iron Maidens. Yeah, Courtney Cox and what's her name that became Alice Cooper's guitarist.
Right.
Nita Strauss.
Nita Strauss, thank you. I had brain fart there. And keep in mind, Nita has her own line of Ibanez guitars. Talk about a heavy player. Like, again, you look at her and you're like, oh, you know, Nita's beautiful. Okay, no crime there. Lita Ford spent her whole life beautiful. Here's a girl who plays the fuck out of metal. Yep. I mean, Alice Cooper doesn't hire junk. You know, he knows what he's doing. Smart guy, like we said in last week's show. He handpicked Nita Strauss. He saw talent, and look at her now. She's thriving. She's a great.
Same thing with Britt. Britt is also a super guitar player. You wouldn't realize if you heard her play, you'd be like, wow, this guitar player is good. Then you see her, and she's drop dead gorgeous and the sweetest kid and smart. Like, that's the other thing. She's not just talented musically, and they're not just talented and knowing that, you know, being visually attractive also helps them make their brand bigger. Being smart businesswoman and being in control of their world. I think those are all great things because the form benefits. Anything that rises the form to the top is good. I don't give a shit the gender of whether or not, you know, it's a girl or a guy playing guitar. Who cares? As long as it's good. You know, Bonnie Raitt can play the shit out of a guitar. You know, and has been able to look at Nancy Wilson. Nancy Wilson is one of the best guitar players on the fucking planet. She never gets credit. This is an example where she doesn't get credit because she's hot and because she came up during a time when nobody paid attention to females. So the baby metal thing, I don't think that the three girls up front are particularly interesting as musicians, but they are a great attraction to get people through the gate, and the product is good and people are consuming it, and it makes all metal look good. And again, kudos to Gary Holt for being one of the guys that steps up and says, hey guys, again, these guys are good. Like, putting his stamp of authenticity on it only helps everybody in the long run. And you know what? We could use more of that.
Yeah,
we could use more of that as opposed to people tearing each other down. Like, I fucking hate the band Ghost. I'm not going to lie to you. Hate them. Don't get it. Don't care. People like it. You're more than powered to have it. But me saying I hate Ghost makes sense because it's not for me. What the hell is my dog barking at?
It's
I gotta go get my dog. Hang on.
It's you know, look, it's for all of us. I mean, obviously Ghost is very controversial. Ghost plays to old school metal guys as well as driving new guys in, you know, guys and girls. But some of the old school, Paul's about to beat the dog again. Oh no. All I hear, you stupid. I don't even think it's the dog. I think Paul has a woman like duct taped in his closet, like with a bondage mask, and she's like hopping away to freedom. I think that's really what's happening. This isn't the dog. Watch, the dog walks by the camera. You won't see anything. You'll see the dog looking at the camera like, what? I didn't do nothing. It's that girl in the closet. See, Paul covers up this shit. This is the thing. Fruitcake Tony brings up he doesn't like the new Vixen singer Lorraine. He wants Janet back. I didn't even know that Janet left Vixen, and I'm a big Vixen fan. And you know, Jan Kiermund was a terrific player, and I know when she passed away, they found a replacement for her. I did not know that Janet, the frontman, was replaced or she left or whatever. So I'm not familiar. When you say Lorraine, I mean, you're not talking Lorraine Lewis, right? I mean, I'm sure it's a different Lorraine, but anyway. So yeah, I like Janet too in Vixen. So I hope that comes back. I really like them. Let's see. Someone else said something else here. Sandra Picorni brings up Sandra Fish, great guitarist. Mr. Hellstrom says Ghost reminds me of the band Him. Again, very newer, not very heavy. Fruitcake Tony, Janet's been gone 2 years. I didn't know. I saw. That's probably about the last time I saw Vixen was in Orange County when they played. Probably about 2 to 3 years ago. So I wasn't aware of that.
No, Lorraine Lewis is doing a great job in Vixen now.
Is it Lorraine Lewis?
It is, yeah.
Because when he said Lorraine, I said, "Is it Lorraine Lewis?"
Yeah, she's been in and out a couple of different times.
Okay,
and,
well, so is Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, Mr. Hellstrom 74 says Ghost reminds me of the band Him. Absolutely, except with worse songs. Him wrote better songs. For me, anyway.
Debatable. Open. Yeah, I didn't when I heard Lorraine, I thought it could be Lorraine Lewis, but I wasn't sure. But okay.
No, it is Lorraine Lewis.
Hey, listen, Lorraine Lewis holds her own too. I mean, I like Janet and Vixen because again, I grew up with Vixen as they were. But look, I don't know what happened that Janet left, but
she wanted to do her own thing.
Okay. So is she gonna do solo stuff now or
yeah, she's got solo material out, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll look forward to it and support it. I like her stuff. Let's see. All right, so that's basically what's going on with Baby Metal. What time are we at? Okay,
almost.
Just keeping tabs. Is the show over yet? Is the show over? Let's open Pandora's box and talk about the worst thing that happened to me this week. I hate to say this. You all know how I feel about Nirvana. Nirvana combined with a glut of what we did with hair bands back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then Nirvana came in and just stomped on our ball sack. Just stomped on it. They tricked us. They tricked us with a song that was kind of a hybrid of metal and grunge, Smells Like Teen Spirit. They hit it at the right time when hair bands were at their weakest point, just a little oversaturated, a little. And Nirvana came in and started the grunge movement and fucked all the music that I loved. So I obviously am not a fan of Nirvana. And then, they took going out on Saturday night and looking at girls' tits to looking at, chicks in itchy sweaters and looking at your feet and playing ugly guitars with duct tape on them and cutting your hair and talking about depressing things. And, it wasn't my favorite time period. It was so depressing. Even Kurt Cobain put a gun in his own mouth. Look at this shit. He's ready to take over your hosting spot.
Yep, he's taking over. He's very happy to see Daddy.
Jesus.
Yeah, someone's getting some tonight. Hell yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Wait till I pinky that dog's ass. Someone's getting some. Yeah.
Red Rocket? Red Rocket?
You bet. You bet. Get that lipstick a popping, baby. It's time.
He just licked my face. I'm going to end up with a zit in 2 days now.
Time to put my doggy chopstick on your big lips.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Where's my thing?
Go on, Johnny. I'll wait for the sound effect.
No, he put the yuck
on
the
yuck. Oh, the yuck is coming through the screen. There it is. Yuck.
By the way, just to finish your Nirvana thought, Nirvana was the right band at the right time and easily marketable. They get credit for music or for breaking open the alternative world that Jane's Addiction broke open 5 years earlier than them.
But you know what?
Jane's Addiction had so much better music, but nobody could deal with Perry and Navarro kissing on stage. So they found a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid that looked like he needed a hug from the Midwest, and he looked good in a sweater.
You knew the music.
They were marketed.
You knew the music scene had changed when you'd go to the music store Wednesday and there would be a great album cover just came out with a girl wearing a thong and a metal bra holding a flaming sword with a wolf with lasers out of its eyes looking at you seductively, and suddenly right behind it was a baby floating with its penis hanging out. It was like, what the fuck is this? Oh, that's the new Nirvana. What the fuck? Really? You knew the music scene was over. It ended right then and there for me. My dick went from a raging hard-on to the softest, floppiest fucking thing since a dead fish. So,
by the way, Robot Master Switch says punk rock versus butt rock. Lycra never had a chance. Nirvana is not punk rock. Let's make that perfectly clear. The Clash is punk. Yeah, Clash is punk rock. Sonic Youth is far more punk rock than Nirvana ever were. The Melvins are punk rock. If you want to talk about that Seattle scene, Nirvana was a prefabricated, marketed, completely put together right band at the right time that came out on MTV at a perfect period. They wrote one song that changed music. It was More Than a Feeling redone, but it's structurally almost the exact same song. They had their moment. It was certainly a tipping point at the right time, but they are far from the best band of that era, and they do not represent punk rock at all. The Jam is punk rock.
No,
you know what I mean? Generation X is punk rock.
Punk was rebellious and fun, and the Ramones was punk rock. That was fun. Okay, it was let's kick down doors, wear spikes, pierce our ears with a safety pin, and let's just scream and play our instruments hard. Nirvana was like a lazy man's music. It's like, let's put on a flannel, not bathe for a few days, let's not wash our hair for 2 weeks. Let's every girl gain weight quickly and like act depressed and like cry in the corner about whatever bothers you like 10 times too much, and then we'll sing miserable songs while looking at our feet, not make contact with the audience. We'll wear flannels and we'll like put duct tape on our guitars so they know they're pieces of shit. It's like, come as you are, as you were, as I wanted to be.
JR mentions that Bleach was a punk record. Yeah, and Bleach didn't sell shit. Nobody cared about Bleach until after Nevermind.
Yeah, when I heard that album, I wanted to drink bleach.
Yeah, Nirvana started out trying to be like a punk band, a lot like the Goo Goo Dolls, and then realized, oh shit, nobody cares about our music when we play like this. Let's write a hit. Yeah, and make no mistake, by the way, Nirvana was also prepackaged by the preeminent marketing wing of the music industry at the time, Geffen Records, the same label that gave us Guns N' Roses and Tesla and Whitesnake and Aerosmith's comeback. Geffen Records had the Midas touch at the time, and they were the guys that went, oh shit, A&M signed Soundgarden. This is a great band. We should probably grab our version of whatever we can grab. And they grabbed Geffen, and they made Kurt Cobain look adorable on video. They were completely marketed. And don't get me wrong, more power to them, but they're super overrated.
Beyond overrated. They were just different. They hit at the right time. Sure. Everyone was cookie cutter. Look, we've discussed this on the show before. I could look at a CD and say, okay, track 2 is going to be the first single. Track 3 is going to be the big one. Track 5 is going to follow that as the next single. Track 8 is the ballad. I mean, we knew the formula. It was cookie cutter. Like Scatterbrain said, tastes like chicken.
Tastes just like chicken.
Yeah. That song was about the music industry of the time being really cookie cutter. Everyone the same. Everyone looked the same. I mean, make no mistake. We were having a great fucking time doing it. We were all wearing spandex and cocaine off of tits and whatever. It was great. And then Nirvana came along and just shit in our punch bowl. And that was it. It was over like that. Suddenly, everyone was depressed and wearing flannel and miserable and depressing. And it was like, fuck that. But it was the right time. It was the right time. That was it. It was at the right time. So, look, I got a personal vendetta against, because you know what? I love the 80s. I love the hair bands. I don't care if they came out with 100 more, the same bands doing the same thing. I was having a good time with who just shit the bed? What was that noise?
I have Lemmy is here. She came over to get some loving. I'm rubbing her ears, so she's making noises.
Sounds like you're checking a prostate. Holy shit.
Yeah, no.
Throw them up in the stirrups. Let's check this out.
She just came over to give me her ass.
Well, it sounds like she shit all over you. Jesus. Anyway.
All of what, after everything Mancuda said, I will say this, and it's going to go against everything he said. All Apologies is a great fucking song.
Mm-hmm.
All Apologies is a great fucking song. I hate Nirvana. Not a fan. Don't own any Nirvana in the 3,000 or so CDs I own. I own everything Soundgarden has done, everything Alice in Chains has done, almost everything Pearl Jam's done, everything Mother Love Bone's done. Like, it's not that I don't like the Seattle sound. I just don't like Nirvana. That said, All Apologies is a great fucking song.
Pearl Jam is jizz, right?
Yes, I know what it is.
Yes. It's very aptly named. I just want to clarify that. So, Fruitcake Tony says, when Axl started wearing flannel, it was over. Axl started wearing flannel because he was friends with Shannon Hoon, and that's where the influence came on, from him, because he was seeing the writing on the wall was changing, and that's when Metallica cut their hair and started being like, "Oh yeah, no, we're in that too." And Motley Crue did the same thing, and no, we're grunge too. No, you're not. You're Motley Crue. You're Metallica. Stop it.
Look at the other side of that too. Alice in Chains was a hair band. They had their hair teased up. Everything was all teased up, and it was Alice Chains, like Guns Roses. And they realized, oh shit, the writing's on the wall. This thing's over. Quick, buy some flannel and pull this shit down. Because Alice in Chains isn't a grunge band either. They're a metal band, without a doubt. Of all of those bands in that era, Alice in Chains, metal. Soundgarden, metal. Pearl Jam, not really. Hard rock, more hard rock. But Soundgarden and Alice in Chains can be traced back to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. Pearl Jam can be traced back to probably The Doors and The Who. So there's an element of all of that stuff. Nirvana doesn't get traced back to any of those things. It's not metal. It's its own thing. Probably, you could probably trace it back to Neil Young and that sort of Crazy Horse feel to it, or maybe Big Black or some of the other bands that, Husker Du, some of the bands that came before them.
You could trace Nirvana back to some bad clams I ate because I shit them out. That's where you could trace Nirvana back to. Well, all I know is I'll give it to Alice in Chains because I really liked Man in the Box. And again, they were,
Alice in Chains is a great band.
They were making that transition. I felt it. Man in the Box wasn't like their earlier stuff, but like Soundgarden was heavier. I could, give them that borderline feeling. But then you get into Pearl Jam. No. Mother Love Bone, same thing.
I loved Mother Love Bone. Mother Love Bone was almost a glam band. They were a glam band that came at the end. If it weren't for the fact that the tides changed and Andrew couldn't get off the heroin, we might have seen Mother Love Bone was very much like a Hanoi Rocks meets Guns N' Roses type deal with, a little bit of makeup, a little bit of the Enough's Enough neon and stuff like that. Mother Love Bone was a cool band.
They didn't have the sound. They didn't have the sound for me. I didn't like this.
No, I get it. Yeah, they were a band that was bridging the gap though. A lot like there were several bands like that. Mother Love Bone, Saigon Kick, Warrior Soul, Jane's Addiction. They were of their own thing. It was a melding of metal and melody and heroin and depression and darkness, and there was something there that could have been its own thing, but Mother Love Bone petered out. Jane's Addiction went the alternative route and went in a different way. Warrior Soul never happened. Love Is on the Way ruined Saigon Kick's career because they're a way better band than that one song.
True.
So there was a whole bunch of that could have been that just didn't happen because, as we saw, just like in the glam band era or the hair band era, they threw a bunch of shit against the wall, and what stuck? Well, what stuck was Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and Candlebox and Stone Temple Pilots. And at that point, you've got 6 bands, and there's only room for 6 bands. How many more do we need? Well, okay, we'll bring Bush into this, and we'll bring Sponge into this. And oh, by the way, when people talk about metal being saved by Pantera, let's not forget a little band called Tool, who also were phenomenally jaw-dropping, and Rage Against the Machine, who were phenomenally jaw-dropping. These were bands that reinvented metal and took it into a different place. I mean, Tool is Pink Floyd meets Black Sabbath. You know what I mean? So Pantera gets a lot of credit, but there were other metal bands at the time that were doing great things as well. Unfortunately, we were too busy looking at the blonde hair, blue-eyed kid in the sweater that looked like he could use a hug.
Yeah, I didn't want to give him a hug. I wanted to take that Mustang and slap him across the back of his head. I mean, listen, Mother Love Bone, Pearl Jam, Bush, Sponge, everything's about either pubic or it's like the show. It's like the show. Everything's penis or vagina related. It's like the fucking show. No, right. I was miserable at that time. All of a sudden, all the music I was learning to play on the flashy guitars I liked, at the hangout clubs I liked, with the girls I liked to hang out, everything was gone. And suddenly everyone was miserable and flannel, depressed on the street. And pawn shops were filling up with the guitars that I should have bought back then and I buy now. But it was like, I don't know. It was just a depressing time. And now here you go. Kurt Cobain's acoustic Martin, which was a 59 Martin D18E, which itself is a very, very rare Martin guitar. Let's not escape the fact that on its own, it's a really, really valuable guitar. I think they only made it for like a year, if that much. It was a failure, and it's a well-regarded vintage guitar now that didn't sell shit back then. They didn't make that many. I don't know where the fuck he picked it up. Probably during the 80s metal scene, something like that was like $20 probably. And, again, it's very rare and valuable. And he, look, to his credit, he played it on a very, very famous acoustical show on MTV. It was bought by Australian Peter Friedman, who owns Rode Microphones. Now, Rode Microphones, huge microphone company. And he basically, I like this guy's idea. He basically bought it with the idea of raising money for causes for musicians that are, down and out right now. So I guess I don't know if he's going to display it or tour it, but he's got plans for it. But he paid, and this is what makes my asshole pucker like you just shoved 3 lemons up it. $6 million.
Keep that in mind. Think about that for a second. $6 million for a Martin acoustic that Kurt Cobain played. What's the most that Eric Clapton got for a Blackie when he did his for his auction?
I think the record right now is 2 million, something like that.
And Gilmore, same thing.
These are Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix too.
And these guys are significantly more important guitar players who have done more important work in the overall pantheon of the music genre of rock music. Cobain, this is a great example of celebrity value. Cobain, not a great guitar player at all. They always compare him to John Lennon as being the John Lennon of a generation. Not even close.
Shit. No way.
Not even close. But
maybe the Yoko Ono.
Perceived, yes. Yeah, Courtney could certainly be perceived as the Yoko Ono of the 90s.
For sure.
The perceived value of this guitar, and again, the guitar in and of itself is pretty rare, and that's great. And the fact that it was played on this Unplugged show makes it historic, and I get that. But the idea that any guitar played by Kurt Cobain is worth $6 million when Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix and David Gilmour guitars don't go for that kind of money speaks to exactly what's wrong with the world today.
Oh, Jesus. Just to hear that number, I think I'm sterile now. My balls just jumped back into my body.
Right.
It's like that's what it feels like. I mean, think about this:
$6 million.
$6 million, 3 times Jimi Hendrix's guitar. Think about that, and keep in mind the grunge scene lasted what, 4 years, maybe. I mean,
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, Nirvana was about to break up when he died. People don't realize that it was over. They were already fighting. In Utero was considered a failure in comparison to Nevermind. That unplugged thing was a desperate attempt to resuscitate the band. They were on their way out. It was over. In fact, all you have to do is to see the performance of what's happened that Dave Grohl has done since with Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters, an infinitely more important band overall with a better canon of music than Nirvana ever put out. They were a flash in the pan. They had their moment. It was a great 15 minutes for them, but in no way, shape, or form does Nirvana's output and or position in music history justify a $6 million price tag for an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, they should call it music fistery because they just fisted heavy metal like to the end of it, and that's not just it. It's not even just the guitar. An acoustic pedal, a Boss pedal. What was it?
$9,000.
It's the Boss Distortion.
It was a Boss Distortion. Yeah.
It's the basic Boss Distortion.
The orange Boss Distortion.
You get for $100 pedal.
Yeah. $9,000 because his stupid foot that got shoved up Metal's ass stepped on it. $9,000. Who the fuck is going to give a shit about that after the initial sale? Really? That's not
what it is.
A rare pedal. I mean, shit.
But here's the deal, though, John. You have some NAMM guitars that you've paid a pretty penny for, and that some people would sit and look at you and go, who the fuck would pay $3,000 for that guitar? I mean, value is subjective, and if somebody wants to pay $6 million, trust me, whoever owned that guitar prior to being able to get $6 million is like, yeah! You know what I mean? Like, I mean, how many guitars do you have that you're sitting there, you say, well, you know what? If it comes down to it, and I'm looking at being destitute, I can always sell my blah, blah guitar, and it's worth X amount of dollars.
Hey, listen, you bring me $6 million, you just bring a truck with you and take my collection. All of them, every one. 6 million buys a lot of guitars. You have a good time. If you're watching, the owner of that guitar, call me. I got plenty of celebrity guitars. Call me. And I don't mean like a Fender Squire autographed by Peter Gabriel. No. I got great stuff from the 80s, but and I know that seems like an oxymoron to some people. If I go into a vintage guitar show and I say, hey, I'm looking for great guitars from the 80s. That's the Les Paul and Fender Strat crowd. But like I said, look, it's a valuable vintage 50s guitar by Martin on its own. But Jesus Christ,
$6 million.
All the people to feel justified for that price, I could see Eddie Van Halen. I could see Jimi Hendrix. I cannot see Kurt fucking Cobain. Holy shit.
Remember, that's the guitar solo that he played the improper solo to The Man Who Sold the World on. That's the thing that guitar is immortalized for, because he played that solo and fucked it up, and they left it in because they were doing it live on Unplugged. That's the guitar. That's the one that, that it is an immortal guitar. It is to its generation. And this sounds horrible to say. I almost want to fucking puke when I say it, but it is the Strat that Jimi Hendrix lit on fire.
Oh,
it is. Oh. That's what it is. That's what it is to that generation. I'm with you, man.
Hendrix isn't even my generation or your generation.
I know.
And with that said, I will expect respect for Jimi Hendrix's, flaming Stratocaster. I'll give it that due if I heard that guitar sold for $6 million. Right now, Dweezil Zappa's like, huh.
Yeah.
He has it, by the way, just for those in the audience that didn't know that. But no,
Frank had it and gave it to Dweezil. I think Dweezil restored it.
Mm. Yeah. It's good to be Dweezil Zappa. It's good to be the son of a rock star. Look, I'm the son of a man that if anything, he leaves me his leg, if anything. So
you can have it by the weekend, apparently.
Yeah, you never know. It's again, we're making that lamp. If I do, we're making that lamp.
It's a major award.
Yeah, and by the way, before we get to in 20 minutes, before we get to today's show and tell guitar, please take a minute. We got a lot of people watching. Take a second, hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button too so you don't miss an episode. But please hit the like button for today's video. Have a good time with us. And who just gave us $5, which is more than I've made all week?
Music Therapy Laz.
Thank you, Music Therapy Laz. Johnny's going to buy lunch with that and not share it. I know he's not.
By the way, might as well say happy birthday to Lee Daney.
I haven't eaten anything today. Happy birthday,
Lee Daney.
Lee Daney.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Lee, is that how you pronounce it? Lee Daney. Yes.
Lee Daney.
Happy birthday. Let's try it all together. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Lee
Daney.
God, that was like a turd. Let's try
awesome.
that again. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Lee. Oh my God. The guy just paid $5. He can't do this. All right,
well, it's $5. We are the cheap hooker of YouTube.
Listen, I'm sucking dicks for M&Ms these days. Okay, let's try it on 3 one more time. All right, we can get this, guys. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Lee Daney. That was better. Look, he got you $5 worth, man.
You got 3 happy birthdays out of that.
It's as good as it gets. Now I can pay my mortgage. And thank you, Music Therapy Lads. And happy birthday, Lee Daney. That's very cool. And again, happy birthday to my friend Julie. I know you're out there watching.
Happy birthday, Julie.
Happy birthday, Julie. Can we say together, happy birthday, Julie? Let's try it again. All right, let's do happy birthday, Lee Daney and Julie. All right, ready?
Wait a second. Julie didn't pay a fucking dime. Tell Julie to cough up $5
Yeah.
to get a happy birthday.
Yet.
Lena, get this straight. I believe that John is saying happy birthday so he can get a rub and tug later.
I hope so.
All right.
Yeah. Of course, my friend's on the other side of the country, but it better be a long reach, honey.
You play your cards right.
Listen, I'm gonna decorate my hand again and make my own rub and tug. I love to tug and rub.
Oh, that was so gross.
Yeah, stick around. Have you seen this show before, Johnny?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of gross, $6 million. Again, I get what the new owner is doing with the guitar. It's admirable. It's cool. I'm in his corner for that. I just wish it wasn't Nirvana's guitar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the big thing for me.
I mean, a lot of people grew up on that guitar.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's the thing is,
if you think of it that way.
I mean, going back to what we were saying about baby metal, Nirvana ruined my career. I mean, my band was doing well in Boston. We were, that scene was late 80s, between 89 and 92. It was like, all right, Extreme just got signed. Who's up next? Who's going to be the next band out of Boston? And there were about a half a dozen of us that were like, all right, the record company guys are in the crowd. Where is everybody? What happened? Oh, Pearl Jam is playing at Axis tonight. Who gives a shit about you guys? Seriously? What just happened? We went, and it literally went from headlining on a Thursday, which was, it's a college night in Boston, which was a good thing, headlining on a Thursday and making some decent money at a club, to not being able to get booked 5 days later because we didn't wear flannel and Doc Martens and play and drop D and sound like the Doors. It happened that quickly. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, it was over fast.
And you know what?
Anybody that was a musician at the time knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, talk to Kip Winger and Reb Beach about it. They just came out with the third Winger album, Pole, which is a phenomenal fucking album. If you guys like hair metal, which you're here, right? Pole is a fucking probably Winger's best album they did.
Yeah, great record.
Didn't sell for anything, and then you got Beavis and Butthead on top of it making fun of them. Talk about totaling the bandit like a bullseye arrow going bullseye into your eye and an axe to your head. Just a double whammy right there. Who brought it up?
Mike Neese pulls out a Ron Keel reference. I happen to like Keel. I'm a big Keel fan. I liked that band a lot.
We both like Keel. We talked about Keel last week.
Yeah, I've been looking for I have a Saber Tiger CD around here somewhere, which was the band that he did with I forget, not Akira. Is it Akira Takasaki that was in that band?
Mark
It was
Ferrari.
no. Mark Ferrari was in Keel, but Ron Keel had a couple other different bands one called Iron Horse.
What band were you referring to? Asking about Akira
Saber Tiger.
Oh, okay, different. Sorry.
Yeah. And again, one of those guys, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago because he was in Black Sabbath briefly. A band that a lot like so many other bands like Malice and again Armored Saint and some of these other ones that were that second or third tier band. They were always they delivered on an opening level or a mid card level on a 5-band bill, but never made it to that headline area. They were always a good opening act or a good festival band like Riot. But Keel got sort of fucked in that situation too, because they were on the precipice of becoming a decent band, a big band, and then grunge happened and it was over. Like a lot of those bands, Blue Murder and Badlands, we've talked about this, ad nauseum.
Yeah,
and again, then those bands that changed over, like Crew and Metallica, Motley Crue, their self-titled album when Vince went his separate way. Again, don't try to fucking be a grunge band when you're Motley Crue. You're flying the flag of 80s metal. And don't try Metallica when you're flying the flag. You're the front runner of thrash. Don't fucking try to fucking be grunge. You're Metallica. Stick with it.
On that same tip, though, let's talk about 1987. Whitesnake was not a hair band. They never were. They were around for 15 years, and all of a sudden, they're an MTV band with all these guys and their hairspray is poofed up. Aerosmith all of a sudden becomes poofed up. Judas fucking Priest changed their look and started wearing scarves and hairspray. So you can't give shit. You can't give shit to all those bands that went and jumped on the grunge train and ignore Aerosmith and Whitesnake and Judas Priest and all of those bands that came before Y&T, that came before, and then the next thing you know, they've all got scarves on their microphones and their hair is teased up a little bit. Same thing.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna
thing.
No, I'm gonna counter you with this. Judas Priest was always about the leather, and they were still about the leather. Judas Priest was always about the biker image, the leather, the spikes, blah 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 blah. Aerosmith, Steven Tyler,
but Turbo isn't like Hellbent for Leather. That's two different looks.
I love the Turbo era, and again.
But it's two different looks.
But it's the same genre. It's just a little bit more makeup. It's not that you're not.
It's the same shit.
You can't tell me Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith and Turbo were as radically different as Metallica or Motley Crue went when grunge started.
There's nothing on Turbo. Nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Turbo. I love the fucking record, start to finish.
Great album.
Love the album, right? There's nothing on Turbo that stands next to Electric Eye or Free Will Birding or Exciter or Hellbent for Leather. They are markedly different bands. Turbo is a pop metal record. We love pop metal, but let's be honest here. Turbo and British Steel are on two different levels of that scale. They're not the same band.
Turbo Lover was a heavy song.
No, it was not. It's a synthesizer song with electronic drums. Listen to that drum sound. That drum sound is it might as well have been a Kix record or a Rat record. That wasn't Judas Priest. You gotta be honest with yourself, John.
No, dude, I'm just saying, to be fair, the transition of British Steel to Turbo was a minuscule evolution of a band that I still saw on the same trail versus looking at, it's like saying Ozzy, where did Ozzy go? Okay, Ozzy evolved here and there, but there wasn't a radical change where suddenly they cut their hair, donned some flannel, and were playing in drop. I mean, it wasn't that different. It wasn't.
No, it is different.
Judas, not that different. Not watching Motley Crue switch to grunge.
No, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. What's the flavor of the month? The flavor of the month at the time was grunge. And so the bands that needed to adapt to jump on the grunge bandwagon did it. Same thing that Aerosmith did, same thing that Judas Priest did, same thing that Whitesnake did. What was the flavor of the month? Bon Jovi, MTV, attractive, scarves, hairspray, pop metal, synth guitars, synth drums. Judas Priest is guilty as charged. Whitesnake is guilty as charged.
Whitesnake, wait, Whitesnake you said with 1987. What about Slide It In? Slide It In with John Sykes? That was totally a metal album.
No, it's a hard rock record. It's not a pop metal record. There's a difference. That Whitesnake record, that 87 record, look at what happened in that Whitesnake record. Was it because the songs were good, or was it because those videos looked kick-ass with Adrian Vandenberg, who didn't play on the record, and Vivian Campbell, who didn't play on the record?
Tony Katane is why those videos look good.
But he also assembled a who's who of hair band all-stars in those videos that got him the attention, because half that record was already written 20 years ago with Crying in the Rain and some of the other stuff. That stuff was written beforehand, and he brought it back out, put a synthesizer on it, put some keyboards on it, polished it up, got a good producer, repackaged it, and put it on MTV. No different than what Metallica did, no different than what Motley Crue did. Same fucking concept. Same concept. I'm not saying I don't like it. I loved it. I don't like what Motley Crue did. I kind of dealt with what Metallica did, but I understand what they did. I didn't enjoy it as much as I do Master and Ride the Lightning, but I know what you're saying. They're drastic changes. But Judas Priest, I'll put this about, the Metallica that released Load would have got its ass kicked by the Metallica that wrote Ride the Lightning.
Absolutely.
The Judas Priest that wrote Turbo would have been laughed at by the Judas Priest that released Unleashed in the East.
I don't think it was that drastic a difference. I don't see that drastic. And as far as Whitesnake goes, David Coverdale at least assembled, even though John Sykes played the album, David Coverdale at least brought in respectable guys. Vivian Campbell was Dio's guy.
By the way, John Sykes didn't play on the original Slide It In.
Okay. He played on the version that was released in the UK. In the
United States. He's not on the UK version. He's on the United States.
Okay, I flip-flopped it.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But that's a great example of what I'm talking about, though. It was they changed their sound and they changed their look.
Not as drastic as grunge. You can't tell me that heavy metal in 1983 was as drastically different in 1987 as grunge was to 87 and 95.
I think there's exactly the same difference between Master of Puppets and The Memory Remains as there is between Free Will Burning and Locked In.
Disagree. Respectfully agree to disagree. Because
right, that's fine.
I can still go through my Judas Priest albums and listen to them and say, this is a good album, this is a good album, this is a good album. But I get to my Motley Crue albums, or let's take Metallica's Load, because it really was aptly named. And there's another one. Pearl Jam, Load, Bush, Sponge. I can listen to my Metallica albums from Kill 'Em All, or, if you want to, go bootlegs even before that. Right. And basically go up through, and when I get to Load, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Because I'm not enjoying it. It's such a total turnaround of sound. And I don't feel that when I'm listening to my Judas Priest catalog and get to Turbo. I'm still enjoying it as sounding like Judas Priest.
I love the Turbo record. I didn't love the Ram It Down record. I thought they started to sort of lose their focus at that point, but then they came back with Painkiller, and I went, holy shit. Painkiller might be my second favorite Judas Priest record behind Defenders of the Faith.
Similar sound, though. You can say a band had a bad album. Okay. Right. This wasn't Metallica having a bad album. This was them intentionally changing their dynamic to sound like grunge. This wasn't one of those, hey, let's play, let's try it, and it just didn't sell well. No. This was them saying, all right, we got to totally change our image and get with the new genre. That's what that was. And
there's a whole generation. There's a whole generation of Metallica fans that have no idea about Ride the Lightning and Kill 'Em All. They were introduced to the band by Load and Reload. Both records sold a lot of records.
I would say the album that introduced most people to Metallica was the Black album.
Yeah, clearly. But my point is there are people who don't even know that. They don't even there are people who listen to Judas Priest that all they know is Breaking the Law, You got another thing coming, heading out to the highway, turbo. That's it. They have no idea what Judas Priest is all about. Same thing with Iron Maiden. The only thing they know is Run to the Hills. That's an issue of depth and longevity of a band's career. Johnny Beane has been waiting to say something for like 25 minutes. Let's let him tag in.
I was a kid when all this stuff was happening.
That's enough, Beane.
You know?
Enough out of you, kid.
No, I do want to say before you go on, can we just thank David Scher, who popped $1.99 into the kitty?
Sure.
I just want to acknowledge. Thank you, brother. Go ahead, Johnny.
Thank you, man. I mean, I was, I'm a little younger than some of you guys, and
Fuck you.
I was a kid. I was a kid. I was one of those kids, buying tapes, discovering this stuff.
Johnny was just a sperm when that album.
Brand new at that time.
Johnny was a schoolboy when he first heard Nirvana song.
And well, let me just say, as far as Nirvana, I didn't like them when they first came out, because I was into Van Halen.
Good.
I was into Van Halen. The Van Halen had a new record out at the same time, and I was all about that.
Did they? Was it any good?
Fuck.
Carnal Knowledge. Carnal Knowledge.
Is that any good?
Never heard pretty good.
Kind of decent. When Pound Cake came out on the radio, man, that thing was. I was loving that.
Fuck yeah. Let's let Johnny finish.
That's 20. Is that 29 years ago?
Yes, it is.
Next year will be 30 years for that.
Wow, I got it when I was 1.
For both of those, yeah. Yeah, but so I'd be watching MTV, waiting for the Van Halen videos to come on, but having to watch the Nirvana videos, having to watch the, all the grunge, the Pearl Jam.
The sad part was that Van Halen video never came back on.
Hang on, dog eating something he shouldn't be eating. I'll be right back.
Pussy.
So I wasn't into the grunge stuff at the time, but a few years later, I really start to understand. I understood it, because a lot of my friends, I was kind of like, I was the one that was different. I was into Van Halen, whereas my other friends that were the same age were into Nirvana, were into Pearl Jam. Like that was their thing.
Ugh.
So I would say late 90s, early 2000s. That's when I really started to get Nirvana and the grunge stuff.
They were done by then. Yeah. The grunge movement didn't even last the whole 90s.
Sorry about that.
No, it was very quick.
Just like Sex with Me.
Is that your brush?
Done.
Yeah, it used to be a hairbrush. Now it's
where is my hairbrush? Where is my hairbrush?
That's gonna be fun to chase him around later and clean up after that.
Clayton James Hicks, 1998 Hicks. Oh wait, you're on Facebook. Today's Telecaster Tuesday. That's right, Clayton.
Yes, it is.
But as far as those other bands like Whitesnake, I would say Whitesnake. I would say they got better when in 87, 88.
Well, for sure.
89.
89 when Vi was there. Love that.
I mean, they became a much bigger band, and those records, became bigger. Bands like Motley Crue and when the grunge thing started happening, those bands that started to adapt, that started to wear grunge, I feel like people didn't really care. Nobody was listening to that stuff anymore.
Keep in mind also, Johnny, in the early 80s, early Whitesnake reminds me of early Def Leppard, like really early, like first album, where it wasn't very Bad Company good.
Too.
It wasn't very good. I mean, with Whitesnake, you got Slide It In. They really started rocking, and then with like
right there.
Yeah.
Like that could be any 70s band.
And they were, and I didn't like them back then. And the first Def Leppard album, I did not like. High and Dry, I started liking them, and then then Pyromania, they just blew up. But
this illustrates my point perfectly. Look at Whitesnake on the right, and then look at Whitesnake on the left. Huh.
Well, technically,
that's exactly what my point is.
It is two different bands.
But they revamped the whole band.
Only the singer is the original guy.
Yeah, all the band members were switched out.
It doesn't. But the point is, it's a different. Look at the look and the sound. It's the exact same argument you're making with Metallica. It's the same argument. They went from being a 70s band that did blues-based, Foreigner, Faces, Bad Company style music to this huge-haired synth pop, huge drums. By the way, let's go back a little bit. Marketed by Geffen Records.
Thank you, David Geffen.
Completely. And again, but none of this is to minimize the appeal of that band. I love both versions of this band. What I'm saying is you can't shit on Metallica for making that stylistic and visual change, or Motley Crue. Here's the thing. Metallica, certainly when they made that stylistic and visual change, put out a significantly better record than Motley Crue did. Motley Crue, that record was a piece of dog shit.
Totally.
There's no doubt about it. Generation Swine is garbage. There's no doubt about that. And even the Cobain record stiffed.
I was about to say, the album I was referring to at first was the John Corabi self-titled. Then you could go to Generation Swine.
And they were both garbage. Although I like, in hindsight, I like the Corabi record a lot better now than I did when I first heard it.
But understand
that
go ahead.
Good. I was going to say that Whitesnake thing absolutely makes my point for me. That's the same thing that Judas Priest did. It's the same thing that Aerosmith did. A lot of those 70s bands, in order to reimagine themselves, relaunch their brands and be relevant to a new audience, change their sound, change their look. Same thing Metallica and Motley Crue did. Same thing.
Respectfully disagree, because let's start with Whitesnake. Looking at the band on the right, the early 1970 Whitesnake or whatever, that was a completely different band. If you told me that all that was left of Metallica was James and 3 new guys, I would expect a totally new sound, because it's not the same band. Now, if you took all those guys on the right and they suddenly transitioned into spandex and teased hair and whatever, then I'd say, okay, they made a sound transition. But Judas Priest, they just kept coming out with albums, and while some were better than others, same with Ozzy and a lot of other bands, sure, they just slightly evolved a heavy metal sound from early 80s metal to slightly late 80s metal. They didn't totally sell out into a radical different genre like grunge.
I would say they did exactly the same thing. They went where the public sentiment went. Public sentiment in the 80s was poppier metal, and so Whitesnake and Judas Priest put out, and Aerosmith put out poppier metal. And then when the tide turned to put out a little bit more aggressive metal, bands like Faster Pussycat and bands like Metallica and bands like Motley Crue put out slightly darker, slightly more aggressive metal. It was different. I think it's the same public sentiment. They went, okay, here's where the tide has turned. We're going to jump aboard that wave. We're going to ride that wave wherever it takes us. And I think the bands that did it successfully, moved on and did just fine. But if you look at Motley Crue, the Motley Crue 1997 versus Motley Crue 1987, drastically different look, drastically different sound. Metallica 1987, Metallica 1997, drastically different look, drastically different sound. Same thing, same concept. They're the same. And, our friend Jay Hannon brought out that if Sammy Hagar wasn't in Van Halen in 1991 when that Fuck record came out, and that was a David Lee Roth record, Van Halen would have been tossed off to the side too, like so many other bands. Look, Def Leppard got dumped. They even changed their sound. Def Leppard, when they came out with the Slang record, were like, okay, we got to do something different because our style of music didn't work. It's not working right now.
I'm going to bring up something else Jay brought up. Grunge and a lot of hard rock, heavy metal albums bands could not coexist at that time. And he's right. That did make the difference way more radical. And also something Music Therapy Laz brought up. Van Halen changed music. It was the Guitar God era. And he's right about that, because the 80s overall was about guitar gods.
Sure.
It was based around guitar gods. Grunge was lazy music. Grunge was not about guitar gods. So you can't say early 80s versus late 80s was as much a transition as going to grunge, because the entire dynamic of that music was totally different. One was guitar based, one was not.
Yeah, but texturally, there's a difference between metal in 1982 and 1987. There's
some
a
of that,
difference.
some of them I will give you. Some that
Yeah,
I will
and that's-
absolutely give you that.
And that's the again the point I'm making. There's a difference between,
but it's slight. It's slight.
but it's where the public sentiment went. It doesn't matter if it's slight. It's where the public sentiment went. Look, the Ford Mustang was a muscle car in the 60s and 70s, and then in the 80s it became a compact, and it didn't really work, and then it came back as a muscle car. There's that, brands change in order to make the business model continue to be viable. They've got to go where the public sentiment is. It's an on-demand industry. You serve to the customer what the customer wants, and that band changes their brand, their look, and their sound in order to continue to serve the available customer. This brings us back to what we were talking about with baby metal earlier. Baby metal is not for me. Ghost is not for me. It's still metal. It's still metal. It's metal for a different generation. I'm not the target audience for that.
Baby metal still has our generations.
So who is the target audience for Master of Puppets? It's you and me.
Yeah.
Who's the target audience for Reload? It's not you and me.
It's supposed to be you and me, but we didn't go with the flow.
15-year-old me and 29-year-old me are two different me's.
Well, the way I look at it is early 80s me was getting a rim job with a little tongue on my anus. Late 80s me was getting a little pinky poking up there. And when Nirvana hit, it was like the whole fucking arm was fisting my ass. Just deep and up there and up there.
Halface brings up the greatest example, and I can't believe neither one of us caught it. Kiss. Look what happened with Kiss. They went from being scary metal band dressed in their armor and their chains and their leather. And then the next thing you know, in 1979, when Dynasty comes out, they're wearing sort of pastel colors and mirrors and have lights in their guitars instead of dragons and flames on the stage.
Disco music.
And then all of a sudden 1984 rolls around and they're wearing fucking fairy boots and velvet pants and button-down shirts. 1987 rolls around and it's the neon pink fingerless leather gloves with the fringe and shit. Yeah, no, the whole thing. Kiss is a great example of exactly what we're talking about. What is popular at the time? What do we need to do to continue to sell lots and lots of records to stupid people?
We got to do whatever the fans want, because that's what we do.
You say that all the time. Kiss is probably the one band that has survived everything.
I agree with that.
And they adapted the whole time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They did not suck the dick of grunge. They did not.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Kiss was rock and roll.
Carnival of Souls is a fucking grunge record.
Come on.
Carnival of Souls is a grunge record.
No. Put down the wacky weed.
What was that before they went back to the makeup?
It was right before the reunion. Carnival of Souls was the final thing they did with Bruce. That's a fucking grunge record, John.
Carnival of Souls wasn't grunge. I will say. Hold on. Hold on. I will say it's a departure from their normal sound, but they didn't go full grunge.
I will never listen to that record again.
I will never
listen to that record again.
I will hang myself from my scarf before I say a bad word about Kiss.
Wait a minute.
You and I are both huge fucking Kiss fans.
Kiss Army, both of us.
Look at them. Look at them on this album cover.
Come on.
Look at what they're wearing. Look at this.
Let's say.
The beard. The fucking beard.
Gene had that beard on Revenge too. Gene had that beard on Revenge.
Because again, and Revenge was 1990, 91.
Look at this picture right here.
They were on their way. They knew.
Revenge was a great album. Revenge is
a fantastic album.
If I saw this, if I didn't know who they were and I saw this during that time, I would say it's another grunge band.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the sound was grunge.
Oh. Go back and listen to Spit. Spit's a grunge song.
Maybe I will, because I love
Childhood's End is a grunge song. That was a grunge record, John. look, I respect you, and you and I know we're friends. We're good
Same
friends.
thing, bro. Absolutely.
All of this is said with love, but fuck you. That's a grunge record.
We're allowed to agree to disagree. That's all right. We can do that.
This is the beautiful thing about this. These are the kind of arguments that I am more than happy to jump into because they don't really mean anything. At the end of the night, we're both going to end up locked up in cuffs or walking out of the bar, slapping each other on the shoulders, going, all right, that was fucking awesome, wasn't it? I'll see you tomorrow night.
That was great, man. That was really good.
Yeah, none of this really matters. It's beautiful.
And nothing else matters.
We're talking about stuff that is passionate and beautiful. All music is subjective. We all love certain bands, and we will fight for our bands and even fight amongst our bands. I mean, here we are talking about Judas Priest, a band that we both love. Kiss, a band that we both love. Metallica, a band that I love, and I would assume that you love as well. Motley Crue, I loved for a period of time, but that period was very short. So Motley Crue was a fast burn for me.
It was definitely a unique time.
Yeah, it was a fast burn.
I will look. We got a lot of people waiting for the show and tell guitar, so we'll leave it on. We agree to disagree. Virtual handshake.
No, it's all good, man.
Reach up.
Do I have to?
Oh, we're doing the L bump. We're doing the L bump. Just reach up. Reach up.
What about the fist?
Right.
Do the fist?
Nirvana gave me the fist.
I don't know which way to do this.
Just up. Go up. Just go up. Yeah, here. I'll come over here.
Yeah, this doesn't work.
I just elbowed Johnny in the nuts. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, we
anyway.
never let Johnny finish his point, by the way. That was great.
Johnny, go ahead, and then we'll do show and tell.
I think Kiss is like the only rock band that survived everything. But when grunge happened at the tail end of that, they went back to being classic, and they've been classic ever since.
That's actually a great point. At that time, he's right. They got back together to their classic makeup style, and that's when they started touring in the reunion. And that's really good point, because then they totally rewrote the rule book. That's very, very true. And that was a smart move.
Yeah. John Biel, thank you, man. Look at this.
What we got?
Okay. You got this Carnival of Souls.
Carnival of Souls.
Look at the description.
Roll down, roll down, roll down. Oh!
It says both.
That's got to sting.
What's first?
That's got to sting.
They're going in alphabetical order, clearly.
That's gonna leave a mark.
I just felt a skid mark go across my undies.
No, and you know what? And that's the other thing. The last two Kiss records have been fantastic. Like, there's a great example of what we've talked about. Metallica did the Load, Reload, Saint Anger, the Garage Incorporated, all that shit. The S&M thing. Then they did Saint Anger, which obviously was what it was. But then they came back with Death Magnetic, which is a phenomenal record, a really good record.
It's a good one.
And Kiss did the same thing. Like, the great bands are able to veer off into another place to tread water for a while the trend of whatever it is sort of maintains. And then when that trend and that 15 minutes is up, they go, oh, by the way, did you miss us? We know how to do this. This is what you remember. This is what you loved about our band. And I think that all of the bands we're talking about, and I think that Motley, even though they have been putting out very sporadic material, the stuff that they put out since coming back together, some of it has been very, very good. I don't know that they're able to put out a consistent record start to finish. I think Saints of Los Angeles was a 6 a.m. record.
I like the
6 a.m. record.
I like the title.
The song was good. But it was a 6 a.m. record with Vince Neil singing on it. And that's okay, because that was the flavor of the time. You know what I mean? But the great bands are able to do that. They're able to veer off with the times. And then when that goes away and you realize, okay, that stuff was a fad, this stuff endures. Here we are. We're still here, and we're still able to deliver that. And I think that all of the bands that we talked about, and even Whitesnake, the past couple of Whitesnake records, have been outstanding as well.
Yeah, and they just they're re-releasing those 3 new albums, remastered, the Red, White, and Blue albums we talked about last week. And yeah, some Dave dude brought up, he says popcorn and bowls, meaning the audience is enjoying eating popcorn watching this, but also a tip of the hat to Popcorn the band.
Ah, look at that. A plug.
Thank you, some Dave, dude. You rock.
See that, JoJo? We can do this without you.
Yeah,
we don't need
JoJo.
you. So enjoy that cancer stick you're sucking on, you asshole.
We kind of need JoJo, but we'll figure it out with our lawyer.
He's the songwriter.
But hey, it's time for Guitar Show and Tell. We're running a little late with that, but how many likes do we have so far on the video, Johnny? What are we at?
I see
74.
Anyway, we could get to 100 before we do Show and Tell.
I see 73.
Yeah, I've got 74 in front of me.
I've got 2 inches in front of me, but maybe once I warm it up. Giggity goo, my cock. Giggity goo, giggity goo. No, if we could just hit a couple more like buttons, I'd love to hit 100 likes before we hit the Show and Tell. Meanwhile, while you guys are hitting the like button on the video, I will start telling you about today's Show and Tell guitar. The clues I gave you were it has points that will skewer your eyes out, and it was a NAMM guitar. So this is real interesting. Now again, while not a celebrity guitar, it's I will say it's a BC Rich. And it's not a common BC Rich. It's actually a really rare shape. They only made it for a couple of years. A couple of people in the audience were guessing a Warlock.
Rich bitch.
It's not a Warlock, and the bitch is one of my favorite shapes, but it's not pointy enough. I'm talking pointy like, you have points on the bitch. They're nice horns. Even the Warlock, you got that 4-pointed angle. That's actually an inverted bitch with an extra cutout, if you know that. And no, it's not a Wave metal soda because Wave has more curves.
Let me guess. Johnny Rod played this bass on the Inside the Electric Circus record. Same shape.
I'm trying to remember. It's not a Wave. I think he no. If you're thinking the Widow, which is what Blackie played, is that what you're thinking?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope.
I'm trying to visualize what guitar, what bass he was playing at the time.
Just show you when you show the guitar. I'll let you know if it was or wasn't.
Yeah, you'll know this. Okay, so guesses in the chat. Let's see. Ironbird. No, it's not an Ironbird, but that would be a really good guess because Ironbirds are rare. Rare-ish. They were that second, wave of body styles that came out in about 1985. And I do have a couple Ironbirds. I had a great yellow one on the show, but it's not an Ironbird. That's a great guess because, man, that mother is pointy, and I love those. It's not a Warlock. It's not a Seagull. That's a good guess too, Sandra, because Seagull basically was a rounded shape with a point in the worst place, right to jab you right in the sternum. So that became the Seagull 2 and then the Eagle. But it's not. And it's not a Stealth because some Dave, dude, that's not a bad guess, but those points are kind of rounded. So what do we think? How are we doing on those likes?
Same.
All right. All right.
That was worth it.
Maybe after they see the guitar. All right. So here we go. You ready, Johnny?
Where's my thing?
Your penis?
That's what she said.
Look at that thing.
Yeah, not the one I was thinking of.
That's purple.
That is purple. You bet it is. This little beauty is a BC Rich Wrath. Wrath like Wrath of God.
Not to be confused with Gary Rich Wrath.
Not to be confused with a Neil Moser Wraith, which is a similar guitar. Now, again, this was designed at the time that BC Rich sold their company the first time to Class Axe. Class Axe, still a USA company, and making guitars both in the USA and in Japan. This is a USA one. This is a NAMM one. I want you to get a good look at this because this sparkle,
like half Warlock, half sort of Explorer.
Look at the sparkle on this. It's got silver, purple, blue sparkle. It's really deep, rich in the sparkle metal flake, especially for back in the day. Look at the points on that thing. Now tell me that those things won't rip your eyes out. Look at those things.
That's a
Those
bitch
are-
to get to the upper frets.
Those
That's
are
that's a
savage.
small place
Those
to put
are
your fingers, man.
Those are savage points right there.
If you have big hands, man, you can't get up into that thing and bend on the top of that neck.
Yeah. Now again, this one I have the back cover off of the cavity, and it's not blue, it's purple. I'm trying to catch some of the light. Probably right about there. You can see the sparkle a little better. That's about the right color right there. You see that deep sparkle? Now, again, this is a bolt-on, which most of these were. They made a handful of neck throughs, but most of these were bolt-ons. And again, this was the period right about 92 to 93 that BC Rich was making these and the Virgin. And this was a similar design to the Virgin. You notice the Virgin was, if you remember, the Virgin had a rounded bottom and similar points to this. The Virgin was designed by Neil Moser. Basically, the owner of Class Axe thought the Virgin needed a little bit of change, elongated it, and gave it an angle. And there you had this. Now, I know, I want to say James Hetfield at one point played one of these.
I think every one of those like super waspy, sort of theater metal bands played everything BC Rich as angular as possible. The more angular the guitar, the better. They'd have the war paint makeup like Motley and the Shout at the Devil era and the teased up hair and all that shit. BC Rich was big amongst that style of glam.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. And then stuff like this became very into the Wrath specifically became popular with the thrash bands. That's really who was playing these at that time. Reverse headstock, which not a lot of them had. Again, this was a NAMM one, so it got the reverse headstock. This was a custom color for NAMM. Usually most of them you'll see, if you find one, were red and black. And again, you'll notice the bolts. This is the Class Act bolt configuration versus when they were with initially BC Rich, they had metal neck plates. Now when they came to Class Acts, they had this cutaway with the straight bolts. So like an Ibanez or some of the ESPs were using.
Now Charvel does it.
Charvel does it now too with the DKs.
Yep.
Which I showed 2 weeks ago. But look at the stance on this thing. This is an aggressive fucking guitar. You basically have a licensed Floyd, DiMarzio Super Distortion and PAF combo, volume tone, three-way switch, maple neck. This is another thing. These normally do not have reverse maple necks because this is basically a gunslinger neck. When you have a reverse headstock maple neck, that's basically for a gunslinger. Most of these were rosewood, or even if they were maple, the few that they did were with the regular non-reverse headstock. You notice later on, same with BC Rich, the Class Axe BC Rich also did away with the bolts in the back of the headstock because it was weakening the break point right there. And again, this one, very similar to the Gunslinger. This one also natural oil finish. Other ones I've seen had the laminate on it. It had the gloss finish, which I personally don't like on these. But maple like this and reverse headstock, I love a neck like this. It's got a flat D shape. You kind of see that. It's an R2 nut, if anyone's interested. Look at the angle of that headstock. And you kind of see the way that's cut away.
Again, impossible to play high up. That's why the thrash bands loved them.
It's hard, sure.
It's more of a rhythm chunky guitar as it is a shredder guitar.
Yeah. And there you go. And again, bottom heavy. And now brought over basically when Class Act sold back to BC Rich in 95, this body did not come back to it. This went to Neil Moser because the owner of Class Act / BC Rich at the time basically was very good friends with Neil Moser and felt, you know what? I designed this based on the Virgin. You designed the Virgin, but you weren't really getting royalties on this. So I'm leaving you the rights to this. So at the time, if you wanted one of these, you weren't able to get it in 95 when they sold it back to BC Rich. You'd have to go to Neil Moser Guitars, which Neil still owns the right to them. And now you can get it since Neil Moser is now the head luthier over at BC Rich. Congratulations, Neil. If you want one of these, you can have the BC Rich Custom Shop make you one of these. They are not common. And again, you can watch old Metallica videos. I think Hetfield's was black, if I remember. So there you go. So BC Rich, 1993 Wrath, today's show and tell guitar of the week.
Not surprising that it didn't do well, given the year that it came out and the style of music that was popular at the time.
Just in time to hit the grunge era.
Yep.
Which is why after 3 years they sold right back to BC Rich for a song.
Yep.
There you go. In
I got a dog bark. I gotta let her out.
And again, this was on display at NAMM at the time. So there you go. Brian Spalding wants to know, does it balance or is it neck heavy? I'm always the wrong person to ask about balance on guitars because I'm strictly a sit-down player. So I can't answer honestly. I'm honestly not sure. Does it sit in my lap nicely? You bet. Let's see. Thank you, Sandra Picorni. Yeah, and if you like the guitar, hit the thumbs up, please. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Metalani A says, the radius is like my dick. I know what you mean. Let's see. What else? Questions in the chat. Sandra Picorni wants to know, what does it weigh? Probably about a good 8 pounds. So right in the average, maybe, yeah, probably right about 8 pounds. So right in the average of like a decent weight guitar, not super light. You know, again, it's got a fat bottom, you know? Yeah. And again, it's made of alder, like most guitars were back then. It's thin, relatively thin, not SG thin, but Robot Master Switch says all those pointy, bright colored 80s style guitars are very hot right now. Hot neon pink, turquoise, whatever. The bigger, the bolder, the better. Dude, I've been collecting stuff like this like for years. When I got back into playing guitar, definitely this was like exactly what I got into because this is what I grew up with. This is my sound. This is my style. And these are guitars I like the feel of to play, you know? Ben Tom wants to know, what does my cock weigh? 5 grams? No, about 7 grams. So, you know, but it's girthy, light, but girthy. Dual pickups in a Floyd. It could never be neck heavy. Some Dave do say, want to bet? Let's see.
Well, those headstocks are pretty big.
I always liked the BC Rich headstock design. I always thought it was really aggressive, and I love the script logo. But look at the point on that. It's like a curved point. So it's not even just like a straight point like the Jacksons or the ESPs have. There's something very
huge.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a huge.
It's my new ringtone. Johnny's saying it's huge. Every time Johnny calls, it's going to be like, that's huge. That's huge. Yes, John. My phone's ringing. Must be Johnny. Let's see.
Keep it in the front pocket.
Yes, these are Spurzl tuners, by the way, as asked by some Dave dude. There you go.
The Spurzl locking tuners?
Well, lockish.
Well, it has a locking nut, so I don't know why it would, but
love you too, Ben Tom. Thank you, brother. Robot Master Switch. Can I post pics of my collection in Johnny Beane's Discord? I have over 300 guitars, man. I like to pop them out like a boner. I like to pop them out every week so that you guys get a nice surprise, something featured, something you get a real close look at. So, you know, you're not going to, you know, get a view like this exactly, you know, in the Discord, but, you know, on video, this is, God damn you. Damn that sound.
Yeah, but speaking of the Discord, though, I mean, the Discord is happening.
It is. It is happening.
People are starting to go over to the Discord.
Why are people going over to the Discord?
Johnny wants to promote the Discord.
The Discord?
Did someone say Discord? Not Datcord. Discord.
Yes, there it is. Nightbot, thank you. Thank you, Ben Tom.
By the way, Robot Master Switch, if you look back, if you go to the playlist on YouTube, there's probably about 60 episodes of Talking Guitars and 80s Metal. So you could, you know, follow each episode and see, you know, one guitar every episode. Sometimes more than one.
Sometimes two. I think maybe there was three a couple of times.
There were, you know what? The ones I did at Dave's house, I had like somewhere between 2 and 4, depending.
That would be 3.
Yeah, there you go. Hold on. You know, I really love to count.
I'm just saying, somewhere between 2 and 4 is 3.
That's what I tell every girl.
2 is few and 4 is 1 too many. He found 3.
Yeah, someone says Brian Spalding says I'm girthy like a tuna can. Unfortunately, I'm also as flat as one. So,
Oh. I prefer to think of myself as Dinty Moore.
Beefy.
Brian Spalding, welcome to the Discord, man.
Brian Spalding. What? You see, Johnny has tapped out of the show. He's just hanging out in the Discord now.
Yeah, Johnny likes the Discord better than the live audience.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to put this away, and now we're going to get back to a lot of music news that we still haven't gotten to because there's so much shit going on. Because it is 2020, kids. So let's see. We'll cross that off. We talked about David Lee Roth's stupid name change. I'm done with that. I'm done with that one. That only leaves 2 pages of notes for other things to talk about today.
But see, here's the interesting thing about this is, despite everything you hear every week, John Mancuda puts an inordinate amount of time into preparing for this show.
Because I've got no life.
He does nothing else.
I've got nothing else
going on.
It's wake up, eat, masturbate. Yeah, in that order. Yeah.
Well, not always though. Depends on if it's rent week or not.
Yeah, if I'm really hungry, I got to do the old handstand lunchtime, you know. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's talk about. Should we talk about new albums or tours? What do you want to talk about, Paulie?
Well, I mean, let's go with new albums first because touring is sort of a dead issue for now. Although they have been doing some rescheduling. There's been some rescheduling going on.
Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. If we're not talking about it, don't talk about it yet. But yeah, you're right.
Now let's talk about some new albums then.
All right, let's hit what's been coming out lately. Let's start with the new Alcatraz album because I'm really looking forward to this. I just found out about it today. And yes, some Dave, dude, I could give you some love again. Rock on, brother. Thank you. Let's talk about the new Alcatraz album because I just read about it today and I'm pretty fucking excited, I gotta say. If you guys are familiar with old Alcatraz, you know, this is a band that had Steve Vai in it at one time, replacing Yngwie Malmsteen. I mean, we're talking really, really great early 80s metal. And now they have a new album and it's got a bunch of guests and a bunch of stuff. And while I haven't heard it yet, I read the review and the review is really, really good. like between 8.5 to 9 out of 10. And that says a lot because they haven't been putting out material that's up to that level. In how long, Paulie?
Well, it's been, I mean, since Dangerous Games came out, which was 1985. So this is the first real Alcatraz album since then. And I have a special interest in it because my friend is their guitar player.
Your friend?
My friend,
Joe Stump?
Joe Stump, who was both my brothers and the guitar player in our band. I never say my band because it was 5 of us and we were friends and it was a family. But our old guitar player Barry and my brother Eddie both took guitar lessons from Joe Stump, who was a guitar teacher in Boston at a place called Cambridge Music for a long time. He's now an associate professor at the Berklee College of Music. He was also at the time a bartender at Bunratty's and was in a band back in the 80s called Trash Broadway.
Bingo.
Joe is an Yngwie Malmsteen, Richie Blackmore disciple and absolutely the right guy to be playing with Graham Bonnet in Alcatraz. A better guitar player for that band could not be found. He is absolutely the right combination of European styling that Yngwie brought in, and he was actually Steve Vai's roommate at Berklee for a while when they both went to the Berklee College.
Small world, isn't it?
So it works out perfectly that this is sort of where Joe Stump was born to be. In the end, he should have been an Alcatraz from day one because he plays the scalloped ESP Stratocasters, and he can play everything that anybody that has ever been in Alcatraz can play and do it with one hand behind his back. A phenomenal guitar player. Couldn't be a better guy for the job. I am super happy for Joe and hope that this album delivers on Alcatraz. Again, another one of those bands that never got its due because of its lineup instability, but it's sort of that place where the guitar player that is in Alcatraz usually goes on to be a legend. And hopefully Joe's been around for 30 some odd years already and had a bunch of records out on David Chastain's Leviathan record. So if you want to check out Joe Stump's Guitar Dominance or Night of the Living Shred, or he's a shred guy, perfect band for him. I'm super psyched and hope that this Alcatraz record is as good as I hope it can be.
Well, based on the early reviews that I've read today, this one supposedly delivers. Again, Graham Bonnet, great frontman. Again, like you just said, stuck in a band that just didn't get where it should have been, but he's been very compared again with Richie Blackmore and Yngwie, and someone in the chat, let's see, Metallini A says he's doing the Yngwie thing on this album and it's good. So yeah, Metallini, you've heard, I guess, at least part of it.
Joe is a phenomenal guitar player. Hopefully this exposes him to a more mainstream audience. Because he certainly has earned it. Let's not, the one thing that may happen if this record actually gets any sort of press is that it'll be like, oh, here's the new guitar hotshot. Joe is not new in any way, shape, or form. He has woodshedded for decades for this moment. This is his coming out moment, and he is as good as anybody that's ever picked up a guitar. Really good guitar player. And again, like I said, what we were talking about with, to echo John Mancuta's sentiment, Graham Bonnet is one of the forgotten voices in metal. Graham Bonnet can sing every bit as good as Ronnie James Dio. I mean, he is an amazing vocalist.
Think about that statement I'm sorry, Paul. Just think about that statement for a second. I want you guys in the audience to really give that a thought. Dio, one of the best voices in metal, but he got recognized. And again, I mean, he was all over the place. He was in, Elf and Rainbow and Sabbath and Dio and, keep going. But Graham Bonnet was sticking with Alcatraz. And even with those guitar players, Yngwie got recognized when he broke out separately. Vai got recognized when he broke out separately. And then everyone went back and said, oh, where'd you come from, Alcatraz? Let's buy those CDs. But they never really took off the way they should have. And they were a good band. They were a good live band also. So this one supposedly keeps with that that level of fury. And I just hope that Joe uses Swiss picks because these are really the best quality guitar picks that you can buy on the market. I love them, and they sponsor the show. And guys like Jason Becker have their own edition, and Swiss picks. If you owe yourself to try one of these puppies, so give a Swiss pick a try. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and people forget Graham Bonnet was also the guy that sang "Since You've Been Gone" from Rainbow. He's that guy. That was his biggest pop hit, and then he did a cover of it with Chris Impellitteri on the Stand in Line record as well, which was Impellitteri, again, another fantastic guitar player that had the good fortune to sing with Graham. To play with Graham Bonnet. Graham Bonnet is one of those guys, man, that has always been sort of there, like Robin McCauley, one of those guys that's always sort of been there, but never achieved mass acceptance outside of people that know great singers when they hear him. Graham is, and he's in his 70s and still belts it out. You should check out some of the live Alcatraz stuff that is out there on YouTube after the show.
Definitely after the show. Don't do it right now. We're not done yet, but stick around. But yeah, and again, speaking of Robin McCauley, he's in that band right now as well. So here's guys coming from the 80s for just a little resurgence. And again, you're not going to see him on MTV. There is no more MTV. You're not going to see him on, you're not going to hear him on radio stations unless it's like XM or something like that. But you know what? I'm real appreciative when a band like Alcatraz or, someone like Graham Bonnet or Robin McCauley or anyone stays in the game long enough to give it another shot that gives us new material to play with. And mind you, this new album, you have one of the last songs played by the late, great Bob Kulick, who we gave tribute to a week ago. And Steve Vai plays on another track. And there's a couple of guest stars on there. Johnny, can you bring this up about the album, by the way, is called Born Innocent.
Alcatraz?
Yeah, the only Alcatraz record that stiffed was one called Dangerous Games, which was the one after Disturbing the Peace when Steve Vai left the band. They tried to come back with another one called Dangerous Games. Remember, there's really only a couple of songs people know from Alcatraz. Hiroshima Mon Amour, which is one that he did with Yngwie. And then, of course, God Blessed Video, which was what introduced us all to Steve Vai, that video where, he's playing the devil's guitar player, which probably got him the role in Crossroads. Those are really the only Alcatraz songs that anybody really knows. And by they say anyone knows is a subjective term too, because Alcatraz was not a band that ever broke out for whatever
Paul,
reason.
I'm sure you knew about them back in the day like I did.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, us guys knew about it, us diehard hardcore at the record store every Wednesday when new shit was released. Let's see, all right, new LA Guns, I'm going to grab that. Yeah. New Alcatraz, I'm going to grab, we were hardcore into all that stuff, picking up and trying all sorts of stuff. But to your average guy or girl that was listening on the radio, you didn't hear a lot of Alcatraz getting airplay. So, Johnny, just read who some of the guests are on the new Alcatraz. Again, Born Innocent is the new one.
Just keep in mind, I think Gary Shea and Jimmy Waldo are on this record too, who are the guys that are original members of Alcatraz from going all the way back to the Disturbing the Peace and No Parole records.
It's kind of blurry. What, Jimmy Waldo?
No, that's the actual band.
Go to the left. Go to the left. Click on one of those on the left. That turquoise looking cover. That's the new album cover right there. So click on one of those links and just see who's on because they have a lot of guests. I have to emphasize that again.
Oh, it actually is Alcatraz. Look at that.
Well,
yes, that was the point.
Yeah,
they're named after the band.
They're named after the prison. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
that's a very.
There's an extra Z on the end of it though,
to make it 80s. To make it 80s metal.
And I don't think there's an umlaut in there, or there might have been at one point.
No, I don't recall an umlaut.
Let me look. I'm gonna go look in the first record.
Not that I remember. But who's actually guesting on that one, Johnny? See if you can click on one of the links and get some of the credits.
There's no umlaut. I thought there might have been.
To get Steve Vai back there to play a track is like a great thing. I mean, that alone is going to sell albums. But then again, Bob Kulick, to have one of his last jobs be on this record too, you're talking some of the greatest guitar players around, you know, on a band that's known for launching some amazing guitar players.
Well, again, it's interesting because as I've known Joe over the years, obviously when your roommate is Steve Vai in college, you're always going to be known as Steve Vai's roommate. You're never really going to get your own name out there. And I think that that's something that he's had to live with his whole adult life, which was, oh, you went to school with Steve Vai? That must have been awesome. Instead of, hey, you're a great guitar player in your own right. Idea that he was able to finally get back together and do something with Vai professionally, I think is probably something that will cleanse him of that sort of bad taste in his mouth. Now, there you go. Christian Pelletieri is also on the record, who is, as we mentioned earlier, had also played with Graham Bonnet or had Graham Bonnet on one of his records back in like 1987 called Stand in Line. It's a Green album cover, and they did a cover of Since You've Been Gone, the old Rainbow song on that record.
And Japanese guitar shredder Nozumo Wakai also on the record. And let's see, Metalani A says Bonnet is still holding his own as far as the vocal range, which is impressive for a 70-plus-year-old guy. You're damn straight. In an age where a lot of guys are doing dub overs, this is really terrific to hear. And all the reviewers are saying exactly what you just said.
No, he's a phenomenal vocalist, always has been one of those guys that has never, I don't think, ever received his due as a singer. And I don't know why. I mean, he may be difficult to work with. You know, his personal life may have put a sort of damper on people's acceptance for him. His talent is undeniable.
Yeah, and that's freaking great to hear. So it's like going back in a time machine and getting a new Alcatraz album.
But here's the thing: this is the polar opposite of what we were talking about an hour and a half ago. If you're into Ghost and you're into baby metal, you don't give a shit about this band. You don't care.
This band
is for us.
I love baby metal too.
You're the exception to the rule. My point is, if you're a fan, if you're the kid that's out there who buys Ghost records and buys baby metal records, you see this band as, who's this? Oh, those old guys. And chances are you're not going to give it a chance.
I'll agree with that.
That's a huge mistake. That's a huge mistake because a band like Alcatraz begat a lot of that Euro stuff that everybody, the Meshuggahs of the world. You know what I mean? Some of those Finnish bands and European metal bands don't exist without what Yngwie did in Alcatraz 40 years ago.
And again, it's so good to hear that, you know, Bob Kulick was working on something major like this when he unfortunately passed away too early, just because we get a little bit more, you know. Talk about an album with just a bunch of great talent. So I'm very excited. The one thing this album is going to get is my money.
Yes, I'll buy it.
Yeah. And again, I always say this to audience: support the bands you dig. Pay for a download, buy the CD. I like the physical CD and then burn it onto my iPod or whatever. That's just how I roll. I like to, if you have put enough effort into giving me a product, me as a fan who's appreciative of your band, I want to support it with my whatever, $15 or whatever it is. And I want something to hold. I want to look through the liner notes like I did as a kid, and I want to enjoy the shit. So I'll download it. I'll still listen to it on my iPod. I'll still listen to it on my iPad, but I want the physical hard copy, and I want them to see the money from it. That's
I absolutely, I've always said when bands stop stop making CDs, I'll stop buying their music. Like, and that's why I've gone back and bought certain bands' catalogs that I never got into the first time around. Like when I was a kid, I would never have bought UFO's catalog. Like I didn't really, I like Michael Schenker and everything, but I never would have gone and bought UFO's catalog. And then CDs started to go away. And I'm like, all right, well, here I am in the local, secondhand record store. And I'm like, oh shit, Misdemeanor from UFO. I don't own that. Well, if I'm going to buy that, I might as well buy No Heavy Pettin'. Well, if I'm going to buy that, I might as well. And then next thing I know, I've got 9 CDs in my hand and I'm walking up to the counter, giving them, $100 of my money. CDs, there's something about being able to touch, a tangible piece of whatever it is, and pick it up and look through the liner note and go, hey, this is awesome. Like holding music, that's a thing. There's something to it that an MP3 or digital music just can't replicate. I don't know what it is.
I want the artwork. I want the liner notes, and I don't want it taking up as much space as a full album, admittedly, Yeah.
I mean, my entire vinyl collection is right there behind me. I mean, there's
both of them.
Yeah. There's maybe 8 records. There might be 8 records there. And only because they're things like No Remorse with the leather album cover and the original Guns N' Roses record cover and the Dream album from before they were Extreme. And, that's all I have over there. I don't have any vinyl anymore. Everything I own is on disc. And I'm all right with that. You know what I mean?
The only vinyl I kept, I have some Kiss albums, I have some Priest albums, I have some Maiden albums, and it's mostly for the artwork. Because other than that, everything else I have is on CD. I mean, I have it on cassette too, but I always upgrade it to CD on anything I like and care about. Hey, SD Design. So that's important to me. And
everything I own, I put on a hard drive too. Like I immediately rip it. I immediately rip it to a hard drive and I carry it with me at work, so that I have everything I want, or I'll put it on 1 or 2 different old iPods that I have.
That's what I do.
I'll plug them into the USB port in my truck and just hit shuffle. And it's amazing when you have an iPod with 40,000 songs on it, how many times you're surprised when you hit shuffle.
Oh yeah.
Which is fun. That's something and look, I work in radio, so I know what's coming on the radio. I know what I'm going to hear on the radio. When I put on a 40,000 song iPod and hit shuffle and I hear, one of these, I don't know, Wire and Wood from Alcatraz, when that song pops up, I'm pleasantly surprised when I'm driving from wherever it is I'm going to. And that's the beauty of music is, man, every once in a while, one of those songs comes on and you turn it up and you remember why that brings you the joy it does in your life. And that's why you should support those bands. Because especially now with bands not being able to tour, they need the money from record sales. They need you to buy their merch. They need you to do whatever you can to support them. These are people who bring joy to your life. And that $15.99, you might have thought a while back was, I'm not going to pay $15.99 for a CD. I'll just download it for free. That $15.99 goes into their pockets. Of that $15.99, maybe $1 or $2 of it makes it to the artist. But the point being is they need that now because they're not touring.
Yeah, look, if Mick Mars came up to you and said, "Hey, man, would you buy me lunch at Burger King today?" Mick Mars, sure, man, I'll buy you lunch. You've entertained me for years. It's the same thing you're doing with a CD. You're buying Mick Mars lunch, but he doesn't see as much money. But right. You're supporting him in that way. You're showing appreciation and support for the product they're giving you, so that they give you more product over the years. They keep going, and that's invaluable to me, much less $15
And you may not be paying for $15 and 12 songs on the CD right now. You may be paying for the past 15 years of enjoyment that they gave you. I mean, when you think about that, when you think about a band like Kiss that have been around since 1973, 74, that extra $15 is worth it for the 40 years that you've had, or 37 years you've had of great music. I mean, for 37 years, you've been able to dig on that. Isn't that worth $10, $15?
Yeah, and right now, if you said, "Oh man, I wish I had a new album from Motley Crue I could enjoy," and they said, "Hey, if you promise to buy the CD, we'll do one," wouldn't you do it? Of course you fucking would. You just want to get more.
Always support the artist. Don't be cheap about this stuff. Don't steal music. you know, and if you do hear something or you do get a burn, like I get burns of records all the time. People send me a burn, or I'll get like a you know, an advanced copy of something. They'll send us a digital download from the record company. But the minute, if I like the record, I go out and buy the record. Even if I already own a copy, I buy the record. Shit, I have at least 2 entire copies of the AC/DC catalog, one on the Epic Records remasters and one on the original Atlantic Records. I've got probably 3 different versions of the Van Halen catalog, and Zeppelin's catalog. Every time they re-release it and remaster it, I buy it over and over and over again because I love it and I want to hear the different mixes and what it sounds like when you apply new technology to it. So I have no problem buying, you know, I've got at least 3 different copies of Kiss Killers on CD.
Remember that song last night? Were you in the chat for that?
Which one?
I wasn't.
John BL, he posted a link to Hot for Teacher of some channel where it's like spinning.
Oh, no kidding.
You were in that, yeah. I took one listen to that and I almost puked. I got so sick. It made me dizzy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's John BL.
It was mixed back and forth.
It was moving. Like the drums were actually spinning. The guitar,
it was just basically panning back and forth, causing it to mix, to change, and every
instrument is like spinning back and forth in circles, and it was the worst thing. It was terrible. Why would anybody do that?
But they do.
Why? Who are these people?
Anyway.
These people. But like there are certain things like I never thought, and I'm a big fan of. I like the original mixes of certain things. Please don't like when Sharon Osbourne re-released the first 2 Ozzy records and put in Mike Borden and Bobby Trujillo on the rhythm sections and replaced the original rhythm tracks. I was furious. I'm like, I want the record as it was recorded. That said, some of the Led Zeppelin remasters and remixes that Jimmy Page has done, I never heard the Leslie Speaker in Immigrant Song, that sort of there's a buried guitar track in there that is a Leslie Speaker. You can barely hear it on the original mixes because the original masters that they used to put those CDs out weren't the best generation copies. He found a better generation, put out the version with the original mixes, and I was like, oh my God, this song is even better than I thought it was. You know, so when you get one of those re-releases or remasters like that, it can be better. It sucks when they go in and they start to tweak things and start to change things. Suddenly that moment in time is lost. But when you've got one that's a remaster and it's from the original masters and they adjust the levels, which is what everybody is waiting for Metallica to do with And Justice for All, is put the friggin' bass back in it, but they never will. Or when you listen to like the original releases of Fair Warning from Van Halen, you can't really hear the bass mix drop in So This Is Love as pronounced as you do on the remasters, the Japanese remasters, the originals.
I'm just doing this for someone else in the chat.
Yeah, I saw Dan Halen was
Dan Halen's a Dan come lately today. Also, just a
Dan
couple.
Halen. SD Design, thank you, man.
I was about to say, SD Design, thank you so much. Blue Rhino, thanks you so much. He's absolutely intrigued with today's conversation. He's all perked up, and Ned, of course, and Lemmy, we all appreciate it. Thank you, SD Design.
Keep in mind, Blue Rhino is on heavy sedatives right now, which is why he's been so sedate the entire show.
Sammy Hagar is a good vocalist.
He's been dealing with JoJo's absence very hard, and we found him face down in the bottle a couple days ago. So. We're
all dealing with a lot of attitude from Joe.
Brian, what? Are you kidding?
He's asking where your wife is. That makes you look like you're not gay.
It's good.
He's asking about your wife.
Brian, I didn't even know.
Who stole Johnny's beard? Ned came in and hacked it off in the middle of the night.
No. These days, out here, we have to wear, when we go anywhere, and so
it sticks.
I
had to do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and let me emphasize this. This is my 15-second rant for the day. Wear your fucking masks. Okay, I've already known previously 8 personal friends of mine that have caught COVID. One of them survived by being on a respirator, but now has lung problems. And another one was my friend's mother, who passed away, unfortunately. And now this week I got the news, another close friend of mine, 30 years old, the picture of fitness. She eats right. She's constantly exercising, got COVID, and is suffering from it. So please, it's not a political thing. It's a health thing. We're in a health crisis. Forget politics. No matter what side you're on, wear the mask for your safety because we care about you.
I will echo the sentiment in only this. Those people that believe that the mask does not help or prohibit the transmission of a disease, stop covering your mouth when you sneeze. Why do you cover your mouth when you sneeze and when you cough? It's a courtesy to those people around you. Does it stop the disease? No. Does it slow it down? Yeah. And it's a courtesy thing. It's a manners thing. And it's not forever.
Yeah, and as far as
the idea that we find that wearing a mask is some sort of an infringement on your personal freedom is the epitome of the spoiled American mentality.
It's the same thing as no shirt, no shoes in a city.
I hate wearing the mask. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Think it sucks. Hate it. With a head my size, finding a mask, my ears get pulled forward like fucking Dumbo. I hate it. It's uncomfortable. I have greasy skin. I get a zit behind my ear from wearing the mask. It's a pain in the ass. Do it anyway. The faster we do this, the quicker it's over.
Yeah,
stop trying to kick water uphill. Just do it. It's not a big fucking deal.
We're in the middle of the first wave still, and now we're gonna have to start closing places again. In Florida, they've already started closing restaurants again because we opened too early. Things were spiking, and look, let's just get through this. We can do this. We can do this.
It's like paying the minimum on your fucking credit card. If all you do is pay the minimum, you're never gonna get out of debt. Just wear the fucking thing. Just wear it. Just wear it for now. It's not forever. It's a minor thing. You wear sunglasses when the sun is bright. Is that an infringement on your? No, it's to protect your eyes. You wear sunscreen. You have car insurance. You wear your seatbelt. You wear a condom.
Yeah, definitely. It's
just wear the fucking mask once in a while. It's not a big deal.
Think of it like a condom. Otherwise, don't wear a condom and catch AIDS. So just think of it like
so there you go.
This is what when I go out, this is what I look like.
Yeah, Johnny's robbing banks for fuck's sake. Johnny's looking like the Invisible Man with the mask and the hat and the glasses. But you know what? He's safe. And I got news for you. The new statistics are showing that it's affecting more young people, big time. So there's no more invulnerability for if you're 19. Again, I see it personally with my friends. Please protect yourself. We love you.
It's not a huge fucking deal. It really isn't. You put your shoes on when you go to somebody else's house. If you take them off, you take them off. You wear shoes every once in a while, especially here in Arizona, so you don't cut or burn your fucking feet. Some people want to walk around barefoot. That's great. Have at it. But just be safe. That's all. And sneezing. That's the whole point.
It's a condom. It's a condom for your face. That's it.
Yeah, just do it for a while.
Just do it. Just do it. We all have to do it. It sucks. Just do it. Be safe. We love you. Okay, let's go back to albums. So, we talked about Alcatraz. There's a new video out that's getting a lot of attention. Bret Michaels' band did an acoustic video recently for Fallen Angel, for the Poison song Fallen Angel. And it's really, really cool. So if you haven't checked it out, go on YouTube, and not right now, but after the show, and check it out. Bret Michaels' band, Fallen Angel Acoustic.
I wish he wouldn't do this. I wish he would stop doing that. I think if he's gonna do an acoustic version of a Poison song, call Bobby and do it with Poison. Call CC and Bobby and fucking Ricky. Get in a studio and do it. It really irks me that Bret Michaels goes off and does all these solo shows, and all he does is Poison shit. I mean, let's face it, that tour that they were going to do this year would have put some money in all of those guys' pockets. And Bret Michaels may not need the money because he's got his pet supply company and his production company and all of the other things that he was supposed to do. but Bobby and CC and Ricky should be involved in anything that Brett does with regard to Poison. That's my thought on that. It irritates me.
Well, the thing is, and this is where it comes from, and a lot of guys have done this, which I'm with Paul. I don't support it. I love the music, but I'd rather it be Poison because you know what? All 4 guys get an equal share versus Bret Michaels hires the Bret Michaels band. Right. He keeps 80% and distributes 5% each to the rest of the band. So I'd rather it be Poison as well. But look, check it out anyway. It wasn't an official concert. It was an interview. And, it's one of those, hey, let's do it during quarantine kind of things. So check it out. It's a good version. It's getting a lot of attention. And then in 2021, hopefully we'll see the stadium tour, crossing fingers. We'll see, bands like that come back together and do that. And let's see. Also, new album, Rat, their new or current guitar player, Jordan Ziff. And Paulie, didn't you also know him?
Yeah, he's an Arizona kid.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in a band here in Arizona with a friend of mine named Chris.
He's finishing a solo album that he's putting finishing touches on that, again, he's very excited about. And again, little buzz on the street is that it's going to be very good. So you'll probably want to watch out for that. Jordan Ziff for his solo album. And then House of Lords, who we talked about 2 weeks ago, they came out with their new album, New World, New Eyes. If you like House of Lords, which I do, check out the new video they just put out called Both of Us. So that's supposed to be something also getting a lot of buzz in the industry right now. And let's talk about touring, because we just talked about the stadium tour. So let's go to an article that I just read on Jack Russell, who basically just said, look, and Jack Russell, for those that don't know, former singer of Great White, now with his own solo band when they split up called Jack Russell's Great White. He has basically made the announcement that he is not going to tour until this COVID thing is over. He doesn't want, and he put it in very plain words. Jack is, he's wild, but he's also a very sensible guy if you think about it. He said, look, I don't want to get sick, but more importantly, I don't want to get my fans sick. And if you're coming to my show, I know how it is at a rock show. You're not standing 6 feet apart with hand sanitizer and a mask and trying to be aware of it. No. You're crowding up front. You're trying to get to the front row. You're pushing, you're leaning on each other, and you're rocking out. He says, and with respect to that, I don't want to endanger the health of any of my fans. I'd feel guilty as fuck. I love my fans, and I get it. So Jack Russell's Great White joining a lot of other groups that have basically said, until the COVID thing is over, until we get a realistic vaccine, until it's safe, we are not going to go on tour right now. So that's what's going on with right now. Now, to counter that, there's just an announcement from Dokken and Lynch Mob, who are touring with Lita and the Bullet Boys, Lita Ford and the Bullet Boys.
By the way, the original Bullet Boys, the original 4 guys,
Mark Tureen,
yeah. And Jimmy D'Anda and the whole thing, Mick Sweeta, those guys are all back together. The original lineup of Bullet Boys are actually touring together, and they're going to make an album, which is great news. The first 3 Bullet Boys albums are fantastically underrated.
Very underrated. And they were consistently good.
Yeah. Yeah, those first 3 first 3 records are fantastic. They really are.
They're really good.
Again, good records that came out during a time when grunge was a thing and nobody cared.
And let me also point out that Mark Tureen, a very unknown and underrated guitar player, was up for Randy Rhoads' job at one point. Or I'm sorry, to replace Randy, I should say. Actually.
Yeah, he was. He played guitar in King Cobra. So
he was in the running. So
yeah,
just FYI.
A guy that's been around for a while. Again, like we were talking about with Graham Bonnet, the guys in Bullet Boys weren't newcomers when 1988 rolled around and that first record came out. They had been slogging it around for a decade and put out, 2 or 3 consistently good records. Everything after Zsa Zsa is a little but the first 3 records, I mean, the first record and Freak Show are fantastic albums, start to finish. Really good records, produced by Ted Templeman, who's the guy that did all the Van Halen records and Foreigner records. And yeah, they were sort of marketed as, you know, his next Van Halen thing, where they had Mark looking a little bit like DLR, and it was
a lot like Dave.
It was like if David Lee Roth was in a band with Slash. That was
whoa. David L. Roth.
L. Roth.
Just L. Roth.
L. Roth. L. Roth, which is like El Guapo. I'm still with you, El Roth.
El Cobain.
El Cobain. Yeah, the Roth.
Roth.
The Roth. Like the Hoff. The Roth.
Yeah. If Roth, we'll just go that way. If Roth were in a band with Slash, that would have been Bullet Boys.
Yeah.
That's a good and they were good. They were good records. Those I love the Bullet Boys records.
Yeah, they were really good. And
so I'm glad to see that they're going to go out on the road. It'd be good to see if they can still pull it off.
Well, here's the problem, and this is something I've said over the last couple of months, actually, with the COVID going on. This isn't going away so fast, and the political climate and the protest things and all the things that have inflamed people not doing what we should have been doing and what we were doing at the beginning basically has brought it back in its first wave with a fury, and we're not even ready for the second wave due in the fall, which is supposed to be bigger. So here you have Dokken and Lynch Mob, and again, the thing about this lineup is that it's going to be Dokken and Lynch Mob alternating the headlining spot with Lita Ford in the middle every night. So it'll be either
which is a familiar place for her.
Hey. So Paul, 1 point. So it'll be Bullet Boys opening, and then either Dokken or Lynch Mob, depending on the night, then Lita, and then either Dokken or Lynch Mob. Now, the big thing about this show is they're going to, at the end, for the encore, it's going to be Dokken with George Lynch as original Dokken playing, you know, whatever they decide to do as encore songs. That's the big draw. The problem is, even though they just announced this tour for the fall, I'm putting my money on red here that this is not going to happen. That at some point this is going to be canceled and rescheduled, hopefully for 2021, because I don't know what's going to go. None of us know what's going to go on with the COVID thing, but all I know is watching as I am and looking at the science of it, it's not getting better so fast, and I don't think it's going to be better in a couple months. I don't see it.
What really sucks about this thing is time is the only unrenewable resource. Yeah. And with every 6 months that goes by or a year that goes by that some of these bands are unable to tour again is one less year that they're going to be able to tour. And then what I'm saying is, as you get older, it gets more difficult to pull this stuff off. Don Dokken's voice isn't what it was years ago. And a year from now, it's not going to be what it is today. You know, those things are happening. We all get older, and Father Time is undefeated. So the suck part about this is the thing that sucks the most about this COVID thing. Yeah, we're not going to get a chance to check out our favorite bands, but as the time goes on and as every one of these tours gets canceled, the likelihood of them ever touring again becomes more apparent. And that's the suck part. Like Deep Purple, Steve Morse has arthritis in his hands. How much longer is he going to be able to play? Obviously, the guys in Kiss are eventually going to break down and get arthritic and not be able to do whatever it is that they do. Ozzy is dying. And how many more tours does he have left in him? The point being, support the bands when they come back out. We've been talking about this for the last 6 months now.
Yep.
When bands go out on tour, there's going to be no excuse for an empty arena. There's going to be no excuse for an empty club. There's going to be no excuse. Support local bands, support the mid-card bands, support Jack Russell's Great White, even if you think that they're over the hill and done. Go out and support them, because remember where you are right now.
They're not.
I know. I'm just saying, even if you think Rat or whatever 80s band you think is like, oh man, they're playing the State Fair, that's pathetic. Buy a friggin' ticket. You've been sitting home alone and lamenting the fact that there hasn't been live music and you haven't been able to see all your bands. When they go out on the road, when they announce that the touring cycles all start again for the next 2 years, there's no excuse for you not going to every friggin' show that comes to town.
This is it, guys. This is it. When Kiss got pushed back right now, they will make their 50th anniversary. You can mark my words on that. I was figuring, how would Gene and Paul do it? Because you can't stop at 48 years and retire then. They'll now be pushed into their 50th anniversary by the time this COVID thing's over. But Paul's right. Look, I know guitarists that they can't play anymore. Vocalists that just don't have it in them. We're getting to an age
Mark
where
Twain is one of those guys.
Where
Mark
our
Twain
heroes
has one tour left in him.
Our heroes don't have a lot of time on tour. Maybe they're not going anywhere life-wise, but touring, it takes a lot out of you. If you've not toured Europe or toured America or toured the world, it is a strain on you. And when you're in your 70s, as some of these guys are getting, it's life draining. And yeah, just to touch on something real quick, because I caught it. Howface, yes, Jeff Pilson and Mick Brown are in Dokken. They are currently in Dokken, yes.
Which is interesting because Mick has had some health problems that has basically said that he doesn't want to play anymore. But I'm guessing health problems versus how many zeros he can get for going out on the road for a few months. There's a trade-off, as we were just talking about. If somebody said to you, hey, you can make 5 times what you're making now by going out for 6 months, you might take it up. You know what I mean? Because you can only do it how many times? Plus, just like athletes, musicians always think they have one more run in them.
They don't always. They don't always.
Do you know what I heard on the radio yesterday?
Johnny,
I don't know
here?
if this is true. Yeah.
Who is that voice we hear?
Johnny Beane? Is that you?
Well, there's no beard, so it's not.
I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry.
I heard the life expectancy of a football player is 51 years old.
Mm-hmm. Their career is usually only 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, because they take all those knocks to the head at full steam ahead by a bulldozer.
Right. Yeah, no, that's and professional wrestlers too, same thing. And I don't know if Johnny, you've been out on tour, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Mancuda, have you ever been on tour?
I've done a bunch of gigs comedy wise that I've not like a world tour or anything, but I've gone like different parts of like the tri-state area.
Yeah, you go out on the road with a band and you live in a bus for 10, 15 days. And I'm not even talking about 6 months. I went out for 2 weeks. And by the time I got home, I couldn't wait to get into my bed. It's the worst. Sleeping on a bus, if you can call it that. The only reason why you can sleep on a bus is because you're fucking exhausted, because there's nothing left to do. There's no room in those things. You spend all your time on a bus going from city to city. You spend 3 hours in that club. You're back on the bus. It is a grueling thing to do in your prime. Now imagine doing it in your 50s, 60s, in some cases 70s. That's a tough thing to do. Now, obviously, bands like Kiss, they fly, into whatever, grand hotel that they can stay at and have limousine services back and forth. Dokken doesn't have that luxury.
Well, there's Paul Stanley. Hold on. Paul.
Those are a big pain in the ass. Doing all that touring is a big pain in the ass for a band like Dokken, who've been slogging it out for 40 years. And Bullet Boys and Lita Ford. It's tough in your 20s, but you're the exuberance of youth and the adrenaline and whatever other things that you're into that get you from point A to point B when you're a kid don't exist when you're 60. It's a tough life. So get out and support them, because it could be the last time you see them.
Yeah, in a lot of cases for a lot of reasons. So that's again. I hope I'm wrong. Of course, I don't think I'm wrong. We're in summer now. Do you guys out there think realistically that we're going to be done with all this by September? I don't see it.
No.
So again, I'm planning my 2020. Let's watch our touring bands in sometime mid to late 2021. That's my prediction.
Maybe 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from the 4th of July. That's the midpoint of the summer. That's it. I mean, I remember when we would get out of school, you get out of school in June, and by the time you got to the 4th of July, you're like, oh shit, summer's almost over. I mean, literally, it'll be July 4th. Next thing you know, it'll be Labor Day. Oh my God, is it Halloween already? This year goes by so much quicker than you think it does. And the idea that they'll be able to tour in fall, keep in mind, in fall is when virus season kicks up again because it gets cold and it starts to rain and it starts to snow and people get sick. And if this thing isn't over by then, wear your goddamn mask. If this thing isn't over by then, it's going to be a tough fall. People aren't going to tour. Jack Russell. And by the way, a lot of these guys are in that age group where they are more susceptible. You know, people with weakened immune systems. Oh, I don't know. People that have spent the last 30 years on the road drinking and beating the shit out of their bodies have weakened immune systems. They're not going to want to go out on the road in the wintertime knowing that there's a potential for them and their audience to get sick.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to put cold water on everyone's tour, but this is reality, guys. This is reality. And again, we're in a health crisis. This isn't politics. Nothing to do with politics. No matter who says what on the news, no matter what public statement someone makes, pro or con, or blah, 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 it doesn't matter what state you are, what side you lean politically. It's a health issue. We have a health problem. And now I don't even want to say the elderly are the only ones susceptible, because the new records are showing the younger people now as probably contributed with, that feeling of invulnerability when things all opened. Everyone's at the bars, everyone's at the restaurants, everyone's at protests. Now it's coming to roost for the younger people too. And like I said, some of my close friends, perfect examples of that. And I didn't even get into my friends on the front line who are watching this and crying, watching someone in their 20s and 30s, which seems to be the new average now, dying. So think about that. So again, I'm planning concert season for hopefully mid to late 2021. I have a feeling the Stock and Lynch Mob tour, as great as it sounds, will be canceled, like the stadium tour, like everything. Listen, this virus is the Vinnie Vincent of canceling concerts. Okay, it's canceled everything. So that's.
I wish it would be like Vinnie Vincent and go away.
Yeah, well, freeze a couple of dogs and we're buying.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's see what else. One last topic, and I've saved the best for last because this is a great one. This one blew my mind as I read the news story. Johnny, go right now and Google GWAR in the news. This is a classic. This one goes down in our Talking Guitars and 80s Metal Live Hall of Fame of great music news stories.
By the way, hold on a second. I got to stop for a second. Bo Bolware, fuck the bands. What about the techs and work for the bands? They're at the show 7 a.m. to 2 or 3 a.m. That goes without saying.
Great, but that's a great point.
By the way, I'm with him. That goes without saying, Bo. With every show comes an economy attached to the show. All the more reason why you go and see the band. Because if Jack Russell's not touring, then you have nobody to set up for. I understand what you're saying, and make no mistake about it. I have spoken to several musicians, and their first thing out of their mouth is, we're going to be okay, but we're responsible for the lives of 24 other people that handle our road crew and our sound and our trucking and our lighting and our rigging and all that stuff. And this hurts them too. The bands are well aware that you need to set up their gear. So the bitterness is misplaced. It really is. Being bitter towards that. Don't fuck the bands. Cool. What if the band said, hey, fuck the road crew, and they hired 4 of their friends to rack shit up and do stuff? The attitude of division doesn't help there. It goes without saying that with every tour that goes out, the economy that's attached to it goes with it. So be careful with the whole bitterness about that. Everybody, and by the way, there's probably a bartender out there that's like, hey, fuck you and your road crew. What about the people that sling the drinks every night in this city every day when you and your road crew come in, treat our club like a bathroom, and then wipe your asses on the place and leave it a mess that we have to clean up at? So there's a trickle-down economy that goes to this whole thing. So take a deep breath and pump your brakes. It's all one machine.
And it's all of us. It's everyone. It's
all one machine.
The guy working at the gas station just as much as it's the first responder, just as much as it's the fan in the audience, just as much as it's your mom going out shopping. All of us are affected. And Metallica, you're right, because we will get through this. Even though a lot of us are doing stupid things right now and we're being a little lax, we're getting overconfident. And look, we're making misjudgments and we're fucking up. With that said, We are super strong. We got through World War II. We can get through this. This will be a cakewalk. And no, it's not just going to be a miracle vaccine or something one day. We have to be smart about it. We have to be responsible about it for our own selves and for our friends and relatives. We will get through this, though. In the meantime, come here and have some laughs.
Yeah, one final point to Bo Bolware. Feel free to put road crew and sound guy up on the marquee and see how many tickets you sell. Without those bands, you have no stage to set up. So relax, take a deep breath, and just kind of work together on this thing. There's no need for negativity.
We're all in this together, bro.
Yeah, there's no need for it.
Yeah, we're all
good.
Together,
I mean, we're all good. It's all good, but I understand the frustration, by the way. I understand
we're all frustrated. Look, I'm so horny. I'm going to ram that microphone up my ass as soon as this is. And I'm a straight man.
Wait. What's that microphone's name?
Ron Jeremy.
You're going to ram Ron Jeremy up your ass when this is over?
Hey, I want to get my payday. So
yeah, somebody's getting paid.
Yeah. Look.
Anyway, so now that we've given Johnny enough time to look up GWAR.
Okay, Johnny, you got this? Because this is a winner. So with all the all the political correctness going on lately, and again, we talked about this earlier, there's a big backlash against Civil War icons, including General Lee. So there is a big statue of Robert E. Lee in Richmond, Virginia, that is causing a lot of controversy. And of course, some people want to keep it. Most people want to get rid of it. But what are you going to put in its place? So someone started a groundswell of signatures to replace the statue of Robert E. Lee with the statue of late frontman of GWAR, Odorous Urungus. So
the late Dave Brocky, who was one of the funniest people you'll ever meet.
And here's the thing. It's going so strong that already they've got 55,000 signatures to erect a statue of Odorous Urungus where the statue of Robert E. Lee was.
Now, we all know this is not going to happen. But it is yes, we know it's not going to happen. But it's an awesome distraction. It is an awesome distraction. It is one of the funniest things. I think that Dave would have laughed at this and politicked for it in a tongue-in-cheek way. And of course downplayed it. This statue would have been the greatest statue and I would conquer everything. Like, if you know anything about GWAR, this is one of the funniest jokes that could possibly come out of this thing. This is the Bodie McBoatface thing. Do you remember that when they put out the how to name the new ship in England, and Bodie McBoatface became the winner of the online survey? This is that.
That's
and it would
so
be
great.
It would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. I would make it a point to go to see and have my picture taken next to the Odorous Urungus statue. It's not going to happen, but I hope it does. I want it to, and I fully support it. Hopefully John Oliver on Last Week Tonight will also get behind this cause and make this a big fucking joke, because I think it's awesome and we could use the laugh.
Oh, make no mistake. I would absolutely make a specific road trip to Virginia just to get this statue.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely a photo with that. There's no way. You know what? I know people that go out to the Rainbow from cross country just to get a photo with the Lemmy statue. Now, make no mistake, this is a lot more obscure, and this is in a very, very different area. Because West Virginia, or Virginia rather, Richmond, Virginia, not really a big area for GWAR, I don't believe. Am I wrong there? I'm not sure, but
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the last thing you said was. You cut out.
I'm sorry. Is Richmond, Virginia, a big area for GWAR fans?
Well, it's their hometown.
Is it their hometown? Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. My bad. I was not aware of that. So you know what? I would just love to see this. I mean, it would never happen. You're right. But man, I would make the journey. I would take a road trip with friends just to go to the GWAR statue.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it's friggin' hilarious. And would support this thing. And like, I have no other reason to go to Richmond, Virginia. So if they were to put up a statue of Odorous, I would be like, okay, let's go to Richmond. You know what I mean? Like I think it's hilarious. And by the way, GWAR, a great example of what we were talking about earlier with Baby Metal and Ghost. GWAR are not a great band, but they are a great time.
They're a great show.
And they're a great time. There's just so much fun to be had at a GWAR show. They're a better band than they get credit for because it's not easy to play when you're dressed in those outfits. But what a fantastic show. It's one of the most fun shows you could ever go to. Really fucking funny, really disgusting. And the music is better. The music is better than you think it would be. Like, you come out of the thing, it's like when I went and saw The Darkness before The Darkness had their 15 minutes. And it was in this little shitty club in Seattle. In Seattle.
In shithole Seattle.
It was a shitty thing in Seattle. So we're at this club in Seattle, and The Darkness comes out. And they start their first song, and everybody is sitting there like this, impress me. It might as well have been in LA. Everybody's sitting there watching the show.
Arms crossed,
all like, okay, Darkness, impress me. 3 songs into it, you see people going, and they start bopping their head. By the time the band is over, kids had their shirts off, swinging them over their head. They had the best fucking time. And that's really what going to a show should be, which brings us back to why I hated Nirvana and Pearl Jam, because when you went to a Nirvana show, you left that place fucking bummed out. I've never seen anybody.
You want to drink Poison when you draft. I'd go to Poison. I'd see some titties. I'd have some fun. I'd be all right, yeah. When you went to Nirvana, you wanted to drink Poison.
Right.
That's how boring that show was.
Nobody has ever walked out of a GWAR show unentertained. You might have walked out and went, oh my God, that was fucking nuts. But you're like, it was awesome. You know what I mean? Going to a GWAR show was like going to a haunted house, or going to pro wrestling. You didn't go there for the musical artistry of it. You went for the show. It's like going to a Gallagher comedy show. You went there and hope you got hit by watermelon jizz. I mean, it really, GWAR shows would be great. All of that said, anything that brings GWAR to the forefront, to the mainstream, is hilarious, and I think Dave would have appreciated it. And it's never going to happen, but just the idea that it's being discussed, and that I would love to turn on the news in Richmond, Virginia, and just have them go, the city council is meeting tonight to discuss a referendum to post a pic of GWAR frontman Odorous Urungus. I would just love to see, like, the local city government have to sit down and vote on that referendum.
All for Odorous?
Yes. The yays, and then all the GWAR fans show up at a city council meeting.
And they're all giving impassioned speeches. Odorous Urungus inspired me to quit drugs. Odorous kept me in school. Odorous Urungus, I found Odorous Urungus when I was on the verge of suicide. But Odorous saved me. I followed the teachings of Odorous Urungus. He saved my life. He saved so many young lives. He definitely deserves to be immortalized. He's a hometown boy. And, it's like, holy shit. Can you imagine?
It would be just so good. It would just be so good to have to look at the city council, like the mayor, have to sit there and like just pack the place full of GWAR fans, and each one of them, because at a city council, the public has a right to be heard.
Sure.
So everybody gets 5 minutes, and you've got 500 GWAR fans in there for 5 minutes each doing their soliloquy as to why Odorous should be immortalized in this. I mean, to me, that's fucking funny. And
this could take weeks and weeks of testimony.
Anything that we could possibly do to have fun with this, and to at least have some sense of humor in a time that we really could use a laugh, I think would really validate why GWAR existed in the first place.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great, Paul, if you knew that there was going to be a town hall hearing until basically they have to do it until the voices run out. You got to give everyone their shot. Could you imagine you and I go on a road trip, Johnny driving us in a tour bus, and the whole thing is specifically to give our 5 minutes each of testimony on why Otis Urungus deserves a statue?
Yeah, and I would go at it from the complete like metaphysical way. Like, you have to understand that in history there have been characters, that mythical creatures in history that have been recognized, and the gods spoke down. You don't understand that the crown that Odorous wears is one that represents mankind's struggle again. And you just go through this whole soliloquy of bullshit validation.
It's almost like it's basically a crown of thorns for my generation, Your Honor.
And as you see the vein emanating from his, that is the pain that one feels as an artist when the struggle of the depression.
The struggle for humanity is real, but Odorous is like a beam of light from his anal cavity into the youth of America like me, or the semi-youth of America like me. All
right, if we can't have, and then at the end, I would end it with I'd go, well, if we can't have Odorous Urungus, can we have diabetes anus?
Can we have Wilford Brimley?
Can we get Wilford Brimley? That would be great. We're going to go, okay.
We could even just modify the Teddy Roosevelt statue to look a little like it. Just take the hat off and, enhance the mustache a little bit, and I think we're good.
Yeah, Dave Brockie was a funny guy. That band was a great time. And I don't know that we're ever going to see that statue torn down, or we're probably going to see it torn down. Wouldn't it be great if they put a public outhouse there or something like that for the homeless to be able to take a shower?
They're taking a shit right now. They're just doing it on the base of the statue.
Yeah.
I met Odorous Urungus. I forget if we were at a convention together or we appeared somewhere together at some point. I was promoting something years ago, and I wanted to take a photo with him. And it was so funny because I was like, do you mind if I take a really funny photo? He's like, this isn't a funny photo enough. I said, no. So what I did, he had a cod piece, kind of like a shark's mouth, like biting down. And I put my arm in his cod piece so that it looked like the cod piece was biting off my hand. And I was screaming in pain on the ground. And he was like standing over me, like laughing at it, like, ha ha, you dare to, interact with my cod piece. Now you get what you deserve, that kind of thing. It's actually like on my old MySpace probably still. Like, I don't even know how to get into it.
And his voice was completely cartoony and great. The way he spoke was very much like in character the whole time. And you were like, wow, you got this down.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They knew exactly what they were doing. That band was well orchestrated, well organized, expensive, by the way. Those costumes are not cheap. GWAR did what Slayer and Mushroom Head and Green Jello, and to a lesser degree, it all comes from Alice Cooper, but they took it to another level, and it's hilarious.
Theatric,
it's so hilarious.
And that's what we need. Look, you guys
let's have a good time.
You guys don't come to watch this show here for quality entertainment. This is like this is like a gangbang at grandma's funeral. Okay, you come here to laugh. Sure, you get metal talk and we show a guitar, but you come here to laugh. And that's what everyone needs right now, is an escape, because every channel of the news you turn on right now, every time you go online, every newspaper you open, every time you look anywhere in public, it's depressing. It's miserable. We are so going through shit this year. This is why you come here, for an escape for a couple of hours to laugh. And that's why you would, at the time, go to a GWAR show, because it's an escape. It's theatrics. It's awesome fun in a realm of craziness that you wouldn't find anywhere else. And they did it so fucking well. And again, rest in peace, Odorous. I would love to see this fucking statue erected. I know it won't, but you know what? Let's play the game. Let's pull the string. Let's get another 200,000 more signatures. And hey, let's watch on YouTube as the town hall has to listen to the fucking testimony. Because I want to see, I'm popping corn right now, baby. I want to see this go down.
I'm going to quote Stimson J. Cat. I have a dream
that someday you
Go
will
on,
never
you
wonder
idiot.
of my rubber nipples.
Rubber
Yeah.
nipples.
It would be great. It's not going to happen, but it would be great. And I think the guy that would get the biggest laugh out of this is Dave Brockie, who was one of the funniest and talented, more talented than he ever gets credit for. GWAR was funny. They knew what they were doing. They had a built-in crowd. I've never gone to a GWAR show and walked away unhappy. It was just a good time. It really was like going to a comedy show with a metal band playing the comedy. They were really good at what they did. The songs were funny. They were well played. And again, trying to play when you've got all that shit, when you're wearing all that shit, it's a lot like what we talk about with Angus Young. The way that he plays, it's not the fact that he can play guitar so well, it's that he can play guitar so well while moving the way he did. All the shit that went on during a GWAR show. And if you've never seen GWAR, just when this show is over in the next 3 hours, go check out, just YouTube a GWAR show. You'll have a blast.
We're trying to break Johnny and mine's New Year's Eve record of 9 hours.
9 hours, yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Oh,
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good too. I think we've given everyone their money's worth. And today we got money. So thank you for those contributions. And look, again, we really appreciate you, our audience. We appreciate our fan base. We thank you for spending your time with us. You have a lot of worthless garbage on YouTube to watch, and this is the useless garbage that you pick. So we really appreciate it. You know, don't think I don't see what you're doing. Hey. Yeah, no, look, we really appreciate our audience. And look, leave a like, leave a thumbs up, join us all the time. Watch the rerun. Tell your friends. Don't sue us. And and read comments. Leave comments on the video because we do read them. We reply to them. I know I do, and really appreciate that. Of course, our sponsors, Bang Energy Drink and Swiss Picks, which you should really try. If you haven't tried one of these, seriously, give it a shot. They're great.
Yeah, they're really good with mayonnaise.
They sure are.
I'm the only one that doesn't fucking have these things.
Give Pete your address. He will get you some Swiss Picks because these are good. Pete Panchowski, owner of Swiss Picks, sponsor the show. If you are watching, which I know you are, send a couple to Paul. Paul will Facebook message.
I'll take some more.
Paul, Johnny too. That's one of the that's the blue one. That's
Jason Becker.
Jason Becker.
Jason Becker.
And support Jason because Jason could use the money, and we like sending money to Jason. So
absolutely,
stay on these.
In fact, anything that they want to do, they want to send to me. If that money supports Jason, send it to fucking Jason instead.
Yeah, and don't send him any Jason edition. Just send him other colors. But look, if you like the show, if you like the content, support the sponsors. Check out a Swiss Pick. These are great. I use these. I love these. We all have them, except him. So other than Paul, we all have.
I actually might have one somewhere, and I don't know where I got it. Like I might have one. Somewhere, like a gray one somewhere.
Email Pete because I want you to also know what they're like. Some Dave dude says Nesdal and him like him. Thank you, some Dave dude. Thank you, bro. Oh, and shout out our buddy Dave Nesdal, his show Nez Says. Be sure to watch it on Thursdays because he is our buddy. And that's on his channel. What were you saying, Paulie?
I was just saying because
I
was making fun of your New York accent.
My Long Island accent.
Long
Island accent.
Long Island.
Yeah, so please hit the like button. And look, thank everyone for watching us this week.
Yeah. We love you all.
We love you all. Be safe.
What?
Huh?
All right. Goodbye.
We're out. Irish goodbye.
How do you do this? All right.
Johnny's new here.
See you guys later.
Even still awake.
Oh, wait. We have credits. We have to roll credits.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to our executive producers, the bigwigs, Charles Green, Joe Christian, Music Therapy Laz, David Ennis, Thomas Santiago, Mike Neese, Connor Johnson 5150, I'm sorry, Michael the Captain Smith, some Dave Dude, and Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael. Yes, thank you so much. Channel members.
Become a channel member.
Thank
Let's
you so
thank our
much.
channel members. Take this one, Paul.
We love all of you.
Am I reading this? Nope. I guess
Yeah.
I'm not. I guess I'm not. No, he's going through the credits real quick.
Oh, Johnny, let's read the damn channel members. Come on. Go ahead,
All right, here we
Paul.
go. Thank you, Hellface, some Dave Dude. James Gum, as in Jamie Gum? It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. 802 Blues, Mr. BHP, Junior Frag, 5150. Jesus raped me. William Bill Spruce, Frank Corcoran, Thomas Santiago, Brian Spalding, Fender Guru, Music Therapy Laz, Ghost BC Rich, Hugh Caldwell, Jim Nicholas, Connor Johnson, Connor Johnson, 5150. Steve Carmichael?
Steve Carmichael? Mancuda.
And Mancuda is a dildo fucker.
Nice. Mancuda's a dildo fucker. I wanted to read that one. I guess I just did. Mancuda's a dildo fucker. Ladies and gentlemen, John Mancuda, dildo fucker. Nice. Someone got their $10 worth. Let's go. Thank you, our channel members. Charles Green, Fruitcake Tony, Michael, the Captain Smith, Jason Wade, Mike Neese, Mickey Settlemeyer, Joe Christian, Nicole Mrazek, Sean Bolin, Linny Lou, and Mary. Love you both. Crazy Cook 678, Bo Zeke, Julia Baldassery, False Flag, David Ennis, Richard Poole. What?
I like Baldassery better than Baldassari.
Baldassery.
Baldassery is great.
I'm tired of all your baldassery here.
As
Julia
soon as
Baldassery. What the?
I would assume that it's Baldassari, but I like Baldassery better because when you say Julia Baldassery, I have images of Nina Hartley's little heart-shaped apple ass.
Why
So,
couldn't
no-
you? Julia, why couldn't you just pick a fun screen name like Mancuda's a dildo fucker?
Yeah, that
Why-
would have been good. Or Jesus rapes me. Something family friendly.
Jesus rapes me. This show, you can always count on this show for G-rated quality.
By the way, are we no longer dealing with a certain large broadcast company? I haven't heard them mentioned all day.
iHeartRadio?
Did they smarten up and get rid of the show?
No, we're still on iHeartRadio, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't know.
Fuck yeah. Not just yeah. Fuck yeah. We're the darling of iHeartRadio. Are you kidding?
I'm a week behind though on the podcast, and so
Oh, all right.
Oh,
So
Jesus Christ. Nice to know we put all our hard work in and Johnny
look
goes to sleep.
look at this as we tap up. Mike Neese drops a Tommy Bolin Forever. You wait to 3 hours and 47 minutes into the fucking show before you drop a Tommy Bolin reference?
Now?
Fuck you, man.
Now? What the fuck? Mike
What is wrong
Neese?
with you? Come
Dude, you're
on, Mike
letting us
Neese.
down, man.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So
God
we
damn,
are,
nothing.
yes, of course, we're still on iHeartRadio. We are still on even if Johnny's a week behind, which he'll catch up on immediately.
Johnny's a week behind is going to be the name of Ron Jeremy's autobiography.
That's my that's my new channel member name. Johnny's the week behind.
Johnny's a week behind.
Johnny has a week behind.
Oh boy.
All right. Yeah, iHeartRadio, Spotify, we're on everything. Just support the channel. We love all you guys. Be safe out there. And thank you, Julie Christine. Happy birthday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.